All right, Tessa, are we ready for Facebook Live?
Yes, you are.
I'm sorry?
Yes, you're live.
Good evening and welcome. This is a regular scheduled public hearing business meeting for the Valencia County Commission for February 18th, 2026. Orlando, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Okay, commissioners, we have the agenda before us. I believe staff, you had some recommendation for some amendments to the agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. To go along with our normal presentations of our agendas, I would like to move the public hearings, or action item number 11, and the two public hearings to just after item number 18. That way we can keep staff here as little as possible. And then that moves the intergovernmental agreement to after our presentations as well. So, and I think that information is relevant for that particular action item. So item number 11, 12, and 13 will go after 18 if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you for that recommendation. Commissioners, are there any other changes that you would wish to make? Questions? There be none. So recommendation to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Sparkman. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Being none, excuse me, guys. Richardson, your vote? Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. It is approved as amended. We have one set of minutes from our February 4th, 2026 business meeting. Any changes to those minutes? Being none, recommendation, please.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Bazell, second by Commissioner Berry. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Being none, Commissioner Richardson, your vote? Commissioner Bazell, your vote? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. I stand approved.
Chairman, Commissioners, I think Commissioner Richardson's mic's off. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessa.
Mr. Chair, while you sign those, I want to recognize Jennifer Boulard for those minutes. That was an extremely long meeting, and those minutes are very, very detailed, I know you noticed. So Ms. Bullard, those were wonderful minutes. I know that was a very long meeting to be at, and thank you for your hard work at those, because
Don't give her so much more to write, John.
I'm hoping tonight doesn't last that long, but maybe.
Okay, we got 3 people signed up for public comment this evening, but I do believe that they're here for the public hearing. I believe Casey Wolf, you're here for the public hearing. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, we will allow you to speak at that time when we get to that agenda item. And then we have Debbie and Luis Tejas. I believe you're here for that also. So you'll be able to speak when we get to that agenda item, okay? Okay, commissioners, item 5, discussion on action items. Anything you guys wish to bring to the table this evening? Ready, staff?
Mr. Chair, just like to make mention, there is a NACO legislative conference this coming week, and there'll be several commissioners there. The agenda is posted online on the NACO website, so if anybody has any questions, that's where you find what we'll be doing.
Very good. Okay, we'll move on to Mr. Montoya, Employee of the Month. That's always nice to recognize them.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Thank you again for supporting us in our endeavors here with our employees. Real quick, before we bring up the Employee of the Month, I just want to commend Ms. Benavides for, the way she treats her employees, the way she works with our unions. She has many employees over 10 years, and tonight's no different. We have an employee that's going on his 16th year. So with that being said, I'd like to call up Ms. Benavides, Mr. Cordova, and our Employee of the Month, Francisco Maldonado.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. This is Francisco Maldonado. For those of you that don't know him, he's our Building and Parks laborer. You probably see him out in the front cleaning up. He's always there to lend a helping hand. As Orlando mentioned, he's been with the county 16 years, and he is a very highly recommended employee and just very outgoing. And, you know, the employees love him and he does get the job done. So congratulations, Francisco.
Thank you.
Francisco, thank you so much for the effort you put forth for the county. We really appreciate all that you do for us.
Thank you again.
You're very welcome. And congratulations. Okay, we're going to head go on to our action items. Item number 6. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn as Board of County Commissioners and reconvene as indigent board, please.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Bazell. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Seeing none, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item number 6 is the approval of the indigent report, and we got Mrs. Garcia with us this evening. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The following is a summary of activity for the month of February. 66 claims were submitted for individuals of the public in the amount of $182,691.09, of which $19,780.55 is being submitted for consideration. One claim was submitted for individuals of the detention center in the amount of $157.50, of which $39.38 is being submitted for consideration. 5 appeals in the amount of $7,028.44. 67 total claims were submitted for the amount of $26,848.37. The Roadrunner Services Detention Center medical contract payment is $63,859.97. The total amount for consideration from the indigent fund is $90,708.34. The indigent fund balance sheet as of February 10 is $1,331.72. And with that, I recommend approval for this item.
Any questions of Ms. Garcia, Commissioners? Seeing none, is there a recommendation, please?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the indigent fund as presented.
Second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Bazell, second by Commissioner Berry. Any discussion on the motion or the second? Seeing none, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, is approved. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Commissioners, I need a motion at this time to adjourn as indigent board and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners, please.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Richardson. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Seeing none, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay, Commissioners, item 7, approval of a resolution adopting the 2026 annual certified maintenance road mileage. Ms. Benavides?
Good evening again, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm here for your approval for the 2026 Annual Certified Road Mileage Book resolution. There were no changes from last year. We didn't have any additions. The only changes that were made were if dirt roads were gravelled, then they were changed to gravelled, and if they were either dirt, gravel, or chip sealed, then they were paved. So those are the only changes that are made from this year. Again, this is due April 1st, 2026 to NMDOT.
Okay. Excuse me. Commissioners, any questions? There's none. Is there a recommendation?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for approval from Commissioner Bazell, second by Commissioner Berry. Any discussion on the motion or the second? Seeing none, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
Vote yes, it is approved.
Thank
And
you.
I do believe you like these.
Yes, if you could just pass them to John and I'll
Whatever you
get it
guys
from
do.
him after the meeting if you don't want them. If not, you can keep them.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this resolution is 2026-15.
Okay, item 8, consideration of a memorandum of understanding with Cibola, Sandoval, and Sandoval County for access to SB3 Region 13 funding. And Mr. Silva.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good evening. Again, we are requesting consideration of an MOU with Cibola and Sandoval County for access to the SB3 Region 13 funding. The Valencia County Grants Department did submit an application in the amount of $755,321 in response to the call for projects from Cibola County in December 2025. The purpose of this memorandum of understanding is to establish the framework by which Region 13 member counties will jointly participate in, manage, and implement projects and funding opportunities provided under the Behavioral Health Reform and Investment Act. Cibola County is willing to assume the responsibilities of lead agency and fiscal agent to support the development, coordination, and execution of regional SB3 funding priorities on behalf of Region 13. Valencia County will enter into this memorandum of understanding to establish their respective responsibilities, process for decision-making, and the governance structure for implementation of SB3 funding for Region 13. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we do also have a representative from Cibola County, Ms. Marcy Chavez, who's online. Ms. Marcy, is there anything that you wish to share that I did not cover?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Great. So thank you, Marcy, for that. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we respectfully request consideration of this item and we stand for any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Please.
is that 700,000 strictly for the Valencia County or is it for all the counties?
This would be exclusively for the Valencia County Detention Center.
Thank you. Any other questions? Appears there's none. Recommendation, please.
Chair, move to approve.
Second?
A motion for approval from Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Bazell. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Be none. Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, is approved.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd also just like to thank Cibola County for kind of taking the head on this thing. We work really well with Cibola. We're already part of an agreement with them for the opioid collaborative. So I'm glad they were willing to take on the fiscal responsibility of that because these kind of projects here, they are demanding of employees' time. So we're very happy that they're assisting us with that part of it.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. Okay, item 9, consideration of a contract with SWCA Inc. to update the Valencia County Community Wildfire Protection Plan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Good
I'm
evening.
here for Chief Prop. We're requesting approval of a contract between Valencia County and SWCA Incorporated for the updating of our Valencia County Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Original Community Wildfire Protection Plan was completed in 2012 and officially accepted by New Mexico State Forestry in 2013. This was completed with a grant for $50,000 from the New Mexico Association of Counties Community Wildfire Protection Grant. We did an update in 2017, and that was with also a New Mexico Association of Counties grant for $15,000. And this grant will be our update. They're supposed to be updated every 5 years. So we're looking forward to getting started with our new projects. Projects outlined in this grant are definitely needed by us and our community partners and other agencies that work with our core team on this grant. And projects that are identified in this grant have a very high chance of being funded for future grant fundings for all the agencies, including Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District, because we definitely need mitigation projects in the BOCC after our catastrophic wildfires of 2025. I would like to point out that this grant is a federal fund from the Community Wildfire Defense Grant. And this federal grant was officially completed by our grant writer that Mr. Commissioner Richardson had brought on, Land Stewards Consulting, Travis Day. I've worked with him on many grants, so I'm glad you hooked him up with the county. He's helped the wildland team greatly. This grant is totaled $159,600, and there is an in-kind match, and that will be all in-kind with personnel time, my time, and all the other personnel and community and other agencies that work on the grant. It's going to take 1 year to complete, and we're just asking for approval to get this contract going. And open for any questions.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Not a question. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Barr, for I know you've been working on this kind of thing for a long time. You're really good at it. I actually had a meeting with MRGCD this morning on unrelated matters, but they had some kudos to give to you also for this kind of thing, and they're working on it hard also. Glad to see it.
Commissioners, anything else?
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for approval from Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Richardson. Any discussion on the motion on the second? Be none. Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 10, approval of GRT share infrastructure priorities. Manager Aragon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, if you recall, at our last meeting, you all approved the publishing of an ordinance for Alita GRT share with the Village of Las Lunas, State of New Mexico, as well as Meta. And part of that GRT share is the process for it is project recommendations. As you can see in your packet, I included our ICIP list as well as our top 5 priorities. This, as well as the project list submitted by Las Lunas. Chairman Seiss and I have been, working with Las Lunas on this project for a short little while, but we noticed that the project list was geared towards Las Lunas, which is fine. They're mostly looking for infrastructure type projects, and we have identified 2 on our ICIP list. One being the improvements to the school in Valencia, Valencia High School. Those are the lighting projects that we've got going on up there, as well as the reconstruction of some of those roadways. The other is the continuation of Las Lunas Boulevard to our east side. Those are the 2 that we looked at, saw that those were fairly high up on our list, and they were infrastructure type projects. As it was, kind of mentioned to us, they're trying to make infrastructure improvements for the employees of Meta. That was what was going to kind of capture their eye. And it was mentioned that, Meta employees don't only live right near Meta, they also live all over the county. So that's why we thought it'd be best for you guys all to discuss, kind of take a look at it. We will be talking more about the GRT share at our next meeting, but I wanted to get this in front of your eyes. You guys kind of take a look at this, our ICIP list, the Las Lunas list, see if you wanted to add something that is county focused as well, because ultimately we are giving up 50% of our GRTs that will be coming in for this particular leader project. So I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you want to add anything else to that, but it's been a good working relationship so far. And I don't think anybody had any objections to the county wanting to, focus some of its projects as well.
I don't have anything to add unless there's questions from commissioners or any further recommendations.
Mr. Chair,
Please.
I kind of like the infrastructure for the bypass because that helps the entire county.
Sure.
Not only just quality of life, but the safety aspect of it, of first responders getting across the river. We all see the traffic jams now, and so I think that makes a big deal to the entire county. So it'd only be wise to try to help everybody.
Sure.
I think that's a good way to explain it because that is important that we start working on that project. So I totally agree. Anything else?
To kind of get a feel for what the 50% share back is going to be, they kept saying we're doing lawyer math, which no offense, guys, but they're coming up with somewhere over the potential 8-year project. If it truly goes to an $800 million project, which is what is projected for this new build for Meta, this new expansion, that 50% GRT share over those 8 to 10 years is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 33 to 37 million. We understand that Los Angeles' GRT share is probably going to be a lot higher than ours because they got, little pockets of money coming, everywhere. And we've got the state's portion and we got our portion. So that's something to consider in this package as well. So it's a lot to kind of mull over, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions for you guys as we work through this. But I wanted to at least let you know what infrastructure projects we've got on our list that are fairly major. And, one of them we're going to be discussing new routes tonight for the expansion of the Los Angeles Boulevard to the east side. So,
Anything else, commissioners? Being none, recommendation, please.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion for approval from Commissioner Bazell, second by Commissioner Barry. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Being none, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Barry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
Vote yes, is approved. Thank you, Manager.
yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to skip a couple items now, and we'll go on to our presentations. Item 14, Juvenile Justice Advisory Board Quarterly Report. Christiana Arian, I guess. Butchered that, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you. It is that time again. Our quarterly report is actually, it was pushed back a few times at the request of the manager. So we're happy to finally be in front of you to kind of express all the good stuff that the Youth Subcommittee and the Juvenile Justice Advisory Board has been up to. So without further ado, Ms. Christine Arian.
Thank you, Jeremias. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I know that you guys have a copy of the presentation, but for everybody else that doesn't have it, I would like for them to see it as well. Okay, so what we have today is the first and second quarter of FY26 continuum. As Jeremias mentioned, it's been pushed back a few times, but I'm more than happy that we're here today. So the continuum expenses that I'm going to talk about is from July 2025 to December 2025, which is quarter 1 and quarter 2. We had promotional items for community events and token of appreciations for our JJB members. Right here, you see our expenses for the contract and match. The contract is orange and the match is blue. The awarded programming to date is $269,718.13. Expended of the awarded $549,735, which equates to 49% and 0.06 and some off percentage. At this rate that we're going, we're expecting to expend the full $549,735 by the end of quarter 4, which is very exciting for us. Valencia County match to date is $165,375.73 has been expended of the awarded $219,894. This number is a lot closer to the awarded amount, as every month we bill towards the match. Every time we have an event or we're using a building, this goes towards the match. And so that is at 75%. And we will most likely exceed the $219,000 again this fiscal year. The promotional items that we did purchase so far this year are 2 lanyards. The white one is for our Community United for Student Attendance, and the blue one is for our youth subcommittee. Both of these lanyards will be handed out at events per se, and then, like I mentioned, there's pens. The black one is a new style, but we've always purchased pens for our youth subcommittee. And then the blue one is for the Community United for Student Attendance. And off to the right, you see a cell phone wallet with Community United for Student Attendance. And for short, we call it CUSA, just to save some breath. So now we're going to go into the fun part of our continuum expenditures. What I like to present to you guys is pictures of all the activities that our youth have been participating in. And so for the first quarter, we had National Night Out on August 5th, H2 Academic Solutions Back to School on August 13th, the Board of County Commissioner meeting on August 20th. However, there's no pictures of that one. The Valencia County Sheriff's Office Fire Safety Day on September 20th. So the first one is National Night Out. We had that with the Sheriff's Office at Immaculate Conception Church, I believe it was called, but it was awesome. There's an aerial view of who attended and who was there, and our youth, of course, handing out the food and engaging in the community. Then we have our H2 Academic Solutions Back to School, where the center picture is always the youth participating and, showing what's going on. Whoever's there, they get to, smile, big happy face. At this one specifically, we had the youth pass out program information and backpacks and lunch bags as they are, back to school items. And then H2 Academic Solutions did have their resource center open to anybody that needed clothes or books or, that sorts of stuff. And then off on the bottom right is a jumper for the little kids. The Fire Safety Day with Valencia County Sheriff's Office was held at the Calvary Church in Belen. This was a lot of fun. Our youth did not participate in the pulling of the fire truck, but they were super excited to engage with the community. Okay, now we're going to jump into October of the second quarter. We have YDI Get Up, Get Moving, October 4th, Valencia Community Action Network Food Box Distribution on October 18th, Los Lunas Middle School Literacy Night on October 29th, Valencia County Fall Festival on October 30th. So I have a quick picture here of YDI Get Up, Get Moving. I didn't really step away from the table to take pictures, but I do want to let you guys know that our youth were helping YDI with the registration of each attendee that was there. So there was kids walking around with iPads, making sure that everybody was registered and received a raffle ticket for the raffle prizes, in which everybody ended up getting something because it's always amazing with what YDI does. This one is the Valencia Community Action Network, short for VCAN. They do food box distributions on the first Saturday at Meadow Lake Community Center and the third Saturday at El Cerro Mission Community Center every month. And it's usually like that unless there is a change due to holidays and whatnot. So we ended up going on the third Saturday, and our youth are super excited that they put together boxes for over 100 youth. Sorry, not 100 youth, 100 families. Los Lunas Middle School Literacy Night. Again, I didn't take any pictures, but you could see that our kids, there's a lot of kids here that night that were super engaging with the community. The kids had fun with this one. It was a fall festival. Our kids decorated a trunk. It was like a spooky theme. And then the grants department decorated a pumpkin, and it kind of worked out because the shirts that we wore were jack-o'-lanterns. Second quarter, November, the Village of Los Lunas Craft Fair, November 8th, Veterans Day Ceremony on November 11th, Youth Subcommittee fundraiser at the Badlands Drive-In on November 14th. Quick quick pictures of the Veterans Day ceremony. Again, we pass out program information, letting the community know of the programs that are available to youth 10 to 17 years of age. The Badlands Drive-In Movie Night. The sandwiches were sponsored by Jersey Mike's. We got 60 mini subs that we were able to sell that night. On the bottom left, you see some moviegoers, and then the bottom right, we have our youth subcommittee actually engaging with the community as they make sales. The movie that we showed that night was Grown Ups. Such a good movie, such a fun time. Okay, now we're going to jump into December, and after that, it will be quick wrap up. So for this one, we had the youth subcommittee retreat / Christmas party on December 6th, Shop with a Cop on December 13th, another VCAN food box distribution on December 20th, and H2 Academic Solutions Angel Tree Ornament Project wrapping / setup workshop. So the picture that you see here is the first half of our Christmas party with the youth subcommittee. We had Dr. Patricia Pade with the ORC come in and train the kids on Narcan. They loved the training. They were super engaged. They asked questions. They thought it was an amazing training to go through. This one is the second half of our Christmas party. And you see off to the right, our kids are doing the Christmas Pictionary, which is always fun. It's so much fun to see the kids drawing and interacting with each other. And then off to the top right, you see that there's presents on two sides of the Christmas tree. So we did a Secret Santa and we did a white elephant. The white elephant was so much fun. We only had one person steal. And then on the bottom right is our picture of who attended that party. Shop with a Cop. This one is the second time that the youth subcommittee participated in. It was so much fun to see. I want to say 50 to 60 youth from Los Lunas schools were able to participate in this program. They got to get paraded around in the school bus around town. They went straight to the movie theater to watch Zootopia 2. I heard it was a good movie. And then right after that, they went to Walmart and they got to shop for clothes and toys. And then our youth on the bottom right were there to participate in that as well. The VCAN food box distribution, our youth are there with smiles, helping pack up foods. And then the Angel Tree project with H2 Academic Solutions. It was originally supposed to be a wrapping event. However, H2 Academic Solutions was super hesitant of waiting until that Monday to get everything wrapped because of the amount of presents that were given this year. So on the bottom left, you'll see that all our kids are on the floor engaged in wrapping. It was actually amazing to see that so many youth from the subcommittee attended that day. So then after they finished presents, they helped decorate the Christmas tree and set up the Valencia County Resource Center into Santa's workshop. And then this is an exciting one for us. So this year we decided, being that it was my first actual annual JJAB retreat, behind the scenes, we decided to do a Juvenile Justice Champion Award. And this Champion Award went to Hermia Silva. And I do want to give you a synopsis into what the award was. It honored a dedicated advocate in juvenile justice who promotes restorative approaches, partners with community and schools, and works to create better opportunities and positive change for youth. So I felt like not just myself, but other members of the board felt like that was the honor to give, being that it was the very first one. And, you know, next year we'll see who the next champion award is. So that was at the end of our JJAB meeting in December, and then we jumped into our annual retreat. I felt like there was a lot of things learned in this retreat as we had speakers from Belen Consolidated Schools with the superintendent, Lawrence Sanchez, Mr. Richard Lindahl, he's a CYFD consultant, our CYFD grant management team, and Noel Chavez with H2 Academic Solutions. The last slide that I have here for you is a token of appreciation to all of our board members. They received a Padfolio. It's pretty nice. They also received a fancy pen. If you're curious, Jonathan has one. And so does Commissioner Berry. They have Yetis and then polos with their names on them. That concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for your time and this evening. My name is Christine Arellin. I am the Continuum Coordinator for Valencia County under the Juvenile Justice Advisory Board, and I stand for any questions.
Mr. Chair. I just want to commend Christine. Thank you so much for everything you do. And if everyone will join me in a round of applause.
Commissioners, anything else? Christine, thank you. On behalf of the commission, we really appreciate all the efforts you put forth. You guys do a really good job for the youth and greatly appreciate it. Is Hedemias still here? Congratulations, Hedemias. Very well deserved.
Awesome. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Likewise, thank you. Okay, item 15, Affordable Housing Act compliance requirements for local governments. We have a presenter, New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority Assistant Director, Sonia Unruh. And Melissa, are you part of this also? That'll be fine. Thank you. Please go ahead. Welcome.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you so much for having me today. I was just wondering, presentation loading. Admittedly, this presentation includes quite a bit of detail, so some sections I'll breeze through to focus on the higher level important pieces of complying with the Affordable Housing Act. Next slide, please. And before we get to the fun regulatory discussion, I just wanted to share with you a couple of indicators that really demonstrate the need for investment in affordable housing in Valencia County. Over the last 5 years, the growth rate of Valencia County is nearly doubled that of the state as a whole. Median household income in Valencia County is about $59,000, slightly lower than that of the state. 48.9% of renter households are cost burdened, which means they're paying more than 50% of their income on housing costs. That might be rent, and then also includes utilities, whereas this rate for the state is 45%. Cost burden renter households, which earn less than $50,000 a year, this rate is 78.1%. And the median home sale price in Valencia County as of December 2025 was $322,475, which is only slightly lower than that of the state, which was $352,000. And in order to afford that median priced home in Valencia County, a household must earn $104,000 and $104,745,000. Next slide, please. What is the Affordable Housing Act? The Affordable Housing Act is very similar to LEDA in that it's an exception to the anti-donation clause in the Constitution, which allows governmental entities, municipalities, counties, the states to invest public money into projects for affordable housing. And these projects may be privately owned. It could be a nonprofit that owns it. It could be a for-profit developer, so long as it meets certain criteria that I'll outline in this presentation. And the eligible donations include land, an existing building, financing for infrastructure, financing for actual development costs and acquisition, operations or ownership, and abatement of locally imposed fees. Next slide, please. The Affordable Housing Act really is limited to just allowing for this public-private partnership. It does not supersede any other regulations, such as the New Mexico Governmental Conduct Act, Administrative Code, State Board of Finance rules, local government ordinances or resolutions, and capital outlay rules. The Affordable Housing Act also isn't regulating procurement. So when you want to make a donation to a developer, for example, or engage a nonprofit for services, they must be selected in accordance with your procurement policies. And finally, the Affordable Housing Act does not regulate how federal funds are used. Just to give a sense of the impact in the state, since the Affordable Housing Act was enacted in 2004, local governments have made $142.9 million in investment in affordable housing. Really, these public-private partnerships are key to spurring housing development for our community in the state. I'll breeze through this. Affordable Housing Act compliance begins with having an affordable housing plan, which is essentially a needs assessment. After that plan is developed and approved by Housing New Mexico, the commission or governing body would adopt that plan. Subsequently, the governing body must pass an affordable housing ordinance, and this really outlines the rules for making these donations. Who is eligible to receive them? What are the income limits? And it's your structure for making these donations. And after you have this ordinance in place, the fun part comes. You get to decide what is the affordable housing project we want to do? Down payment assistance, rental assistance? Do we want to build housing in our community or support development? Once you have the project defined, it's time to select a qualifying grantee. And a qualifying grantee is the entity that receives the donation. The qualifying grantee is your developer, it's your homeless shelter service provider, the entity that will receive the public funds to carry out affordable housing. You must certify that a qualifying grantee meets a certain criteria, which I'll go over shortly. And then annually, you're required to report to Housing New Mexico any donations made under the Affordable Housing Act. So the first step, next slide, please. Sorry, I was behind. Next slide. And next slide. So as I mentioned, the first step to a compliance is having an affordable housing plan. This plan is essentially a high-level needs assessment that looks at a community's demographics, existing and projected housing needs, analysis of land use and construction constraints, and also it's required to include in this plan certain goals and quantifiable objectives for your affordable housing initiatives. Valencia County, in fact, has satisfied this requirement. In 2015, Housing New Mexico reviewed and approved a joint plan between the Village of Los Lunas and the county, meaning once you have this approved plan, this initial needs assessment, it does not necessarily need to be updated. It's a one and done requirement, although many communities do elect to update their plan as they feel their community changes, especially a community that might be more rapidly growing. But once this is initially satisfied, it's not required to be recompleted. Next slide. Valencia County also has approved, in 2024, Housing New Mexico also reviewed and approved Valencia's county affordable housing ordinance, and the county subsequently adopted this ordinance. I will say the current Valencia County ordinance limits affordable housing donations to projects that will serve households earning 120% of area median income or less. Housing New Mexico has since updated its rules, so we allow our programs to serve households earning up to 150% area median income. So the county may elect to choose to update its own ordinance to serve up to this higher income levels. And that doesn't mean your programs have to serve that higher income level. It means you can. So you can say, oh, we want to do home ownership. We feel we need to reach this working families income. And if we want a rental assistance program, we're going to reserve that for our lower income residents. It's just your cap. Qualifying grantee, as I mentioned, these are, next slide, please. Qualifying grantee, this is the word in the regulation that means the entity to receive the donation. It could be a governmental housing agency. It could be, I believe El Camino Real serves this area. I could be mistaken, but you also have the Valencia County Housing Authority. It could be a for-profit organization, a for-profit affordable housing developer. It could be a nonprofit organization, so long as these organizations do affordable housing. It could also be an individual. There are some local governments that have their own in-house affordable housing program, and they say, we administer rental assistance, we administer down payment assistance. So there's sort of the non-individual category and then the individual category of qualifying grantees. Next slide, please. I'll breeze through this, but when we're talking about who can receive or what are the requirements for these for-profits or nonprofits to receive a donation, really they just have to prove their legitimacy. They must be organized under state law. They must, as I mentioned, have capacity and experience to do affordable housing. They must have a functional accounting system. Typically, we require an audit based on how much revenue they're bringing in, and they must have no outstanding findings with Housing New Mexico or the county or the state. Next slide, please. And for nonprofits that are seeking funding, they must also be able to demonstrate that they are their registration with the IRS is current, and that no part of net earnings benefit any individual founder or contributor or individual involved in that nonprofit. Next slide, please. So after, as I mentioned, the Affordable Housing Act doesn't regulate procurement. So you define your project, you say, okay, we need a developer or we need an administrator to administer down payment assistance for us. The local government follows its procurement policies to select that contractor, if you will. And this contractor is your qualifying grantee. And then we have a form after the selection process. The county will complete this form, staff will complete this form, submit it to Housing New Mexico saying we've done our due diligence, we'll submit our concurrence, and we may request follow-up documentation to ensure that the entity is eligible to receive this public investment. You can also qualify a grantee and not necessarily commit funds. Sometimes you'll have developers come to you and say, we want to be your qualifying grantee. I mean, you can pre-qualify them, but you can't make a donation to them unless they're selected through a procurement process. But you can do the initial eligibility screening to say, yeah, you do meet our qualifications to receive affordable housing funding. Next slide. And when we're talking about individuals like, home purchasers or households in need of, rental assistance is the next example, or potentially home repairs is another program we see. The first requirement is the individual must be income qualified. So our program says our down payment assistance is for households earning up to 150% AMI, area median income. You must ensure that household is income qualified and can verify that they're not earning more than that. Or like if you're doing a home repair program and say, we're doing this for disabled seniors that are earning no more than the poverty level, you have to prove that, that household is within that range. And when we're qualifying individuals like a developer, you do the certification process. When you're qualifying individuals for like a program, you must develop program guidelines. So we then approve those program guidelines and say, okay, yep, you have in your rules that you're going to income qualify. And really that income qualify is the pretty much the only requirement for somebody to benefit from these programs. Next slide. So when you're making an affordable housing award, you can, issue a RFP for a contractor qualified grantee. Often we at Housing New Mexico use a notice of funding availability, and so that's a non-competitive program, but it is an application where they have to demonstrate their ability to carry out their project. And then the affordable housing program is really when you're talking about developing a program to help I want to do down payment assistance, rental assistance, home repair, something like that. And sometimes it's going to be a hybrid. You're going to solicit a contractor qualified grantee to do the down payment assistance because you don't want to do that in-house. That's a lot of expertise that's difficult to hire for. But in addition to, you need to develop program guidelines saying, okay, we want it to be for this income limit, and we also want to impose this additional overlay of the houses must be this price, and any other rules you want to incorporate into the program. So that's how you make an affordable housing award. Next slide. And once you've evaluated an application through your procurement process, and I know some local governments have kind of developed separate affordable housing procurement rules. I don't know that that's necessary. We just follow the state's procurement rules. But once you have, say, okay, we've identified, procured for this qualifying grantee, you must certify to Housing New Mexico that you've done your due diligence, and we may request a review of the application if we have questions, or we may not if we feel like it's satisfactory based on what we know. Next slide. A really important part of the Affordable Housing Act is an affordability period. And this is really meant to protect our public investment, especially when we're donating funds to either private individuals or private developers. And what this says is if we donate $1 up to under $15,000, the affordability period is 5 years. So like what that might look like for down payment assistance is we're going to give $10,000 in down payment assistance, and after 5 years, we'll forgive that. Or you can choose to have it due upon sale, transfer, refinance. You can come up with those terms, but the minimum affordability period is 5 years. The rules do allow for some discretion when affordability or recapture might not be practical. So for example, we fund an organization that installs ramps in households that are mobility impaired. These ramps cost anywhere from $500 to $2,000. So we're not putting a lien on that house a mobile home that they may not even own, because it's just not practical. And we've determined that the dollar amount doesn't really merit that level of, administrative overlays. Really where this comes into play is with development. So like often the city of Albuquerque, Las Cruces, or Santa Fe will make big donations to a developer, $100,000 in cash or land that's valued at $250,000. In that case, what's typically used to protect affordability is what's called a land use restriction agreement. So it's a restrictive covenant on the property that says this property must be used for affordable housing for no less than 20 years. Our programs, we're funding pretty big dollar amounts, so we often use up to 40-year land use restrictions. This just is the floor. Next slide, please. So these are the two common methods, the two common security instruments: the land use restriction agreement, which is typically used for a development project, and a restrictive covenants agreement, which we typically use when we're supporting like a single family home. Like we have a single family home rehab program. So we invest sometimes up to $100,000 in bringing homes for very low income people up to code. And so we have a restrictive covenants agreement that says after 15 years, I believe, a forgiveness period begins. So it's just a lien on the property. A mortgage note can also serve as your affordability protection, because a mortgage note would include those terms of forgiveness or compliance. And next slide, please. Every year, local governments are required to report to us if they made donations to affordable housing. We reach out to Melissa every year. She says, we're developing the program, and this is it's a pretty straightforward requirement. And it's just, typically we use, did you close on a project this year? So if you closed on a loan for development or closed on financing, you would report it in that year. Next slide, please. So next steps for Valencia County, huge. I mean, you are Affordable Housing Act compliant. You have your ordinance, you can choose to update it, and you have your plan. So you're at the stage of considering how the county wants to address its various housing need. Is it by increasing housing supply through incentives to developers, addressing housing insecurity through rental assistance? Is it promoting through home ownership through local down payment assistance? Is it addressing housing quality issues by creating a home repair program? These are just some examples to name. So you have an idea of the project you want to do, and kind of simultaneously, you'd want to consider what resources do we have? Do we have general fund that we could dedicate to affordable housing program? Do we have land that we think we can donate? Beginning on what to offer is how you're going to also consider the scope of your program. And then developing parameters for the program. So do we want to issue an RFP for a developer to build affordable housing and the incentive is we'll donate land with a 100-year lease on it or something, considering, okay, and then we want that affordable housing to be restricted for households earning no more than 60% area median income? Or do we want to make sure that we are building homeownership in our community through a down payment assistance program? And we want that down payment assistance to be targeted at households earning less than 100% area median income, and you can include any other overlays you'd like. These are just the minimum standards. And then finally, you're at the point where you can select a qualifying grantee. to administer the program or develop the affordable housing program in-house. It might be a hybrid. Often managing contractors requires an FTE, but that really is where I see the county's position is at. They're ready to take action on affordable housing as soon as the resources are available. And next slide. This is just a summary. I won't go into this. This kind of recaps everything that I just went through. And with that, I'm happy to stand for any questions the commission may have.
Commissioners,
Mr. Chair,
please.
I apologize on my ignorance, but this may be for Dave. What is our I wasn't around in 2015. What is the plan, the 2015 Mexico, Los Lunas, Valencia County Joint Affordable Housing Plan? What does it say?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bizel, we'd actually contracted with the Village of Los Lunas to prepare that plan, and I think it just identifies what our needs are in the community. So it identifies that we have a need for affordable housing in this community, and it outlines what those needs are. So I'm happy to share a copy of that plan. We just secured it in the last several weeks and from the village, and I'm happy to share a copy of that.
So being from 2015, does it need to be updated from a legal aspect? I mean, that's
Mr. Chairman,
10 years ago.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bizel, so legally, so that to implement a plan, what I just understood from Ms. Unruh is that it does not need to be updated, that it just checks the box and we can move on to the adoption of a program that meets the commission's needs. That said, it might be helpful for the board to update the plan so that way you can better identify what your current needs are.
I guess that's my point, but
yeah.
I mean, a lot of things change in 10 years and I don't want to put any of us in a predicament that, we haven't reviewed to make sure it actually meets the county's requirement or needs. I don't want to just check a box.
Gotcha. Well, that makes perfect sense. I mean, but legally speaking, for the purposes of dispatching affordable housing grant funds, what I understand is we've checked the box. So I mean, but as it relates to the development of a program, I could absolutely appreciate where the board might want additional information about what is needed in the community.
Like I said, I don't want to agree to something that, that might be 10 years old that we need to update.
That's fair.
Commissioners, anything else? You've talked about different benefits, I guess, that could be included in the plan. And it could be a combination of any of them, all of them, that could be incorporated into a plan, right? Like the rehabilitation, the assisted down payment, whatever it may be. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, that is correct. As was mentioned, the plan as it stands right now really is a general needs assessment. We do publish data annually that quantifies the need on a county level. So that can also be used to inform how affordable housing funds might be deployed. Additionally, we're commissioning a statewide housing strategy that should be ready in 3 months that will also contain county level information, including development projections, population projection trends that I do think would be helpful in informing how you might consider addressing this issue. Right now, the county is not limited to doing one thing or the other. It's sort of based on what you know, what data you have, how you think it would make sense to deploy any funding for affordable housing.
Thank you. Another question, if you don't mind, Dave?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to provide some additional clarification on your
Please, go ahead.
question. So from listening to Ms. Unruh's presentation today, I understand there are 3 different things. And I know I've conflated these before in our conversations and also with the board. So first, there's the plan, and that's that general needs-based assessment, identifying that there is a need for affordable housing in the community. And that was completed by Los Lunas in 2015. And as I mentioned, it checks the box, but it doesn't provide us today's information as to what today's needs are. Then there's the ordinance that sets forth the framework or the structure for what we'll then adopt, which is the program. And so what you're calling the program, but I've referred to on this resolution as a plan. But the plan, it's not replacing our 2015 plan. This is really the program that the board is going to be consider adopting to dispatch and to deploy this $1.8 million in affordable housing funds from the state. So I just want to be clear about those 3 terms. So there's the plan, there's the ordinance, and then there's the program. And so while it's listed as a plan on our agenda, for the purposes of what Ms. Unruh was talking about today. It's really the program, which is coming after the plan. The plan just addresses the needs-based assessment in the community, and that's been done.
Okay, that needs assessment is what I was referring to. Who did that?
That was Los Lunas.
Okay, but that was in 2015. Have we had another needs assessment done since then?
No, that was the only needs assessments or the only plan that's been completed. But as I understand from Ms. Unruh, that's the only plan that's required for the board to move forward. So, I mean, not to say that you shouldn't do one, that's for the board to decide, right?
Sure.
But
That was
I'm
my
just saying
question.
that legally speaking, and that was what the question I understood from Commissioner Bazell, legally speaking, must we update our plan in order to move forward with the program? No, we are not legally obligated to do that. Because we've checked the box, you can move forward with adopting a program today or in the near future if you'd like.
Okay. It seems to me, though, that the needs assessment would dictate the plan. Is that fair to say, or not necessarily?
Mr. Chair, I think that's a fair assessment. You want a good understanding of the data, the needs in your community that's current to decide how you would want to move forward. Not a requirement, but perhaps prudent.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Anything else, commissioners? Please.
Maybe a couple, but for the plan, right? This initial thing, is it restrictive in any way to what?
Chairman, commissioners, I believe his mic is off again, or it's too low.
Is our plan that was approved in 2015 by Los Angeles, is it restrictive in any way as to what we can do or what we can't do, or what?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Richardson, no, it just identifies the need for affordable housing in the community. So I mean, it's very open, that's correct.
Okay. Second, are we able to adopt more than one program? If we adopt this one that's on the agenda tonight, can we do more than that?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, you're certainly welcome to do as many or as few programs as makes sense.
Go ahead.
Okay. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, please.
And just in your experience, a needs assessment 11 years ago that found that we need affordable housing, do you think that there's any way that would not be true today?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, I would say if anything, needs have been exacerbated. We've seen since the pandemic, whether you're experiencing, like you're at the risk of homelessness whether you're trying to get into your first home, everybody basically needs more help than they did before. Lots of reasons behind that, but I think Valencia County as a fast growing county has really experienced a lot of growth quickly, which is exciting and also creates a lot of opportunity for affordable housing development to support that growth.
So in your experience, you think that we could absolutely just use the one from 11 years ago, given the fact that this need is just exacerbated over the last 11 years?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, I do believe whatever route you went, there's a need in your community. And also if there was a sense that more data would help, we are happy to provide that. My colleague Stephanie Gonzalez is working on updating our 2026 figures. I just pulled a few of the indicators from that to share with you, but I think there's something like 50 in that show county level needs. And then again, we have a New Mexico housing strategy that should be published in a few months. That's more current data, and it also gets on the county level. So there is information out there to support more current status of housing needs.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, Manager, I believe you had a question.
Hi, Sonia. I don't know if you were in the conversation the other day when we were talking about this, but because this is all somewhat so new to Valencia County, there's not really anybody in the county that's, in the housing market. So, I mean, when we're talking about these programs and these plans that we're wanting to develop, the only insight we have are somewhat the people that we'd ultimately probably contract with. However, that if we allow them to develop a plan or program with us, that would null and void them from being able to become one of our programs in the future. Do you have any plans that are in place, maybe in other counties that the county can look into? I know Melissa's looked into some, but there's just not a whole lot. Really, it's, like you said, the four big counties, Bernalillo, Santa Fe, Las Cruces, and maybe San Juan. Because there's so few people providing these programs, we don't want to exclude somebody for assisting us build a program, whether it be, one considered here now or one in the future, because we don't have that expertise in county to develop a program.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Aragon, I would say, talk to us first. We love engaging with local governments. If you have an idea of what type of program you want to do, let's say it's down payment assistance, we can always help provide you language that's general enough not to exclude any particular entity,
Okay.
compromise anybody's ability to compete.
Sure.
That's the best place I would say. And I do think for smaller local governments, there's sort of a need to rely on contractors to develop that capacity in-house. Even the bigger municipalities, they're contracting their homeless service providers, they're contracting for down payment assistance administration. But start talking with us. I think we can help you come up with some language that's general enough to issue an RFP.
Perfect.
And then from there, your selected contractor can flesh out more of the actual nitty gritty.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to just take a moment to thank Ms. Unrau for actually sharing a proposed scope of work that accomplished just that. So, and for being a wonderful partner in this process as well. So I just want to acknowledge her efforts. Thank you. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else? Any other questions?
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. You've brought a lot of light into a program that I don't know that I fully had a total understanding on it, which I still don't, but it opens up the door for a lot of services that we could provide to our residents. We're not limited to one or two specific ones. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Ms. Jaramillo, I believe you had your turn. Thank you for being with us.
Melissa, is that green light on?
Oh, very good. Sorry, Commissioners, Chair. Next slide, Ms. Tessa, thank you. So basically my simple research, Sonia obviously had the details regarding affordable housing, but I just wanted to give some insight on surrounding municipalities that have an affordable housing program. And there's probably 18 on there. We've received a lot of information, or I'm seeking a lot of information from some of the ones that have experience in these, but in this short time, haven't been able to get every detail involved. Next slide, please. These are the counties that have an affordable housing program, which are probably a good amount of them, but not a lot of detail on what they're doing. I think the city of Las Cruces and Bernalillo County are probably doing the most that we're trying to get information from. What I've learned regarding what they're mainly doing is preservation of existing housing. Sorry, Tessa, next slide. So preservation of existing housing, mainly rehabilitation, preservation, and weatherization. Another option was low-income households, special needs population. Another option they had out there was homelessness, to reduce the homelessness and find housing for them. And then the last one, which we found most common of what I researched, was expanding and preserving ownership by providing single housing development, down payment, closing cost, and housing counseling services. So this just gives you a general idea of what's happening around the state.
Ms. Jaramillo, and you may not have an answer for this, but the ones that you've looked at, have they incorporated more than one of these options?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, questions, Ms. Jaramillo?
Sure.
Please.
Can you go back to the counties?
Yes.
So, I mean, the bad part about some of these counties is we're kind of, none of them really match Valencia County. So there, I mean, you got Doñana, which is a big college town, big city. Bernalillo is a big Albuquerque. Santa Fe's, their housing market is way above everybody else's. Socorro's is, you know, not like us. So, I mean, there's no real county that matches us particularly. So, how would you recommend, you know, visiting and doing your research that we move forward?
Well, again, Commissioner Brazel, I didn't have that much time to like call everybody to find out. Some were responsive immediately, some I left messages. So I would have to continue that research to find out exactly what they're doing and how it compares to us. But I think the comment about the growth in Valencia County versus the other counties is and at the rate that we're growing, maybe puts us maybe all by ourselves regarding that. So I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that, but I can continue my research to find out as I talk to individuals who are actually involved in it versus somebody that just knows it from the outside.
This is more of like a comment too. I know there were subdivisions. There was one over there by the college. I can't even, where people volunteered to help build houses and then they'd have to. Habitat for Humanity. Yeah. But then again, it required a lot of donation time, and then the developers spent a tremendous amount of money building the actual subdivisions for those houses to get built. So, I mean, have we had any developers actually come say that they were interested in doing smaller home developments?
Not to my knowledge.
Commissioners, anything else? Ms. Jaramillo, just, I know that you haven't had a lot of time to put a lot of effort into the affordable housing program. But I still, personally, I feel that needs assessment would bring us up to a level to be able to identify what we need to incorporate into that ordinance. Would that be something you would agree with, or would that be helpful?
Regarding the plan, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Sure. I mean, any kind of updated information would be helpful, so we know what we're up against. I think the beginning comments that Sonia made regarding average incomes, what houses are costing, how much of their income is put into just putting a roof over their head, I think that's important to know. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything else?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Actually on that, but even to go further than that, because on some of that is rehabilitation of houses. So I mean, how many, does the county know how many like dilapidated houses have been updated? Do we have permits on, do we get that information as well?
I think, well, yes, we can find out what we're getting regarding that. But I might suggest that that's in the eye of the beholder of, is it something that's going to be condemned that we need to help so it doesn't fall down? Or is it just somebody that needs new plumbing in a kitchen? I mean, working with the Older Americans program, there's some funding for seniors who may need a ramp or update their bathroom or something like that. So there's that kind of funding for that. But if it's to rebuild a home that might be falling down, I guess that would depend on what the parameters were for us to decide that. We can't just like look at it, because once you start pulling down a wall, you might find something else. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners? Manager? Legal? Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you
Commissioners.
so much. Appreciate it. Okay, item 16 is another presentation. It's the East Side Extension Alternatives, and we have Melissa and Corbin presenting. Lena, would you please, would you introduce them for us?
Yes, of course. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we do have Jonah and Wyatt here from Molson and Corbin to conduct this presentation. Tessa, can I please have access to share my screen?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, since October of 2023, Molson and Corbin has been conducting studies and evaluating alternative routes for an east side extension roadway system from the proposed termination of the Los Lunas Boulevard River Bridge on New Mexico 47 to the Manzano Expressway. The commission did request additional alternatives be provided for consideration at the initial presentation in May of 2025. A total of 12 alternative routes have been identified. We're going to proceed with the presentation of those 12 routes. I did want to bring consideration to some of the items on the bottom of those routes. They do have indications of how much right-of-way, how many properties are going to have to be acquired. There is indications of the mileage, and the other thing that we do ask that this board take into account is the actual alignment. When we first tasked Molson and Corbin with this task, we really wanted a straight shot off of the Los Lunas Boulevard River Bridge to accomplish that expressway and avoid doglegs to the south, doglegs to the north. We do see a heavy increase in traffic accidents for those individuals on 47 turning onto any of those roads. So that was kind of the catalyst in that request to Molson and Corbin. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Wyatt, and then we will segue into an action item, which is essentially a prioritization of the top 3 routes that would allow Molson and Corbin to solicit for public comment, and then have a final recommendation for this board situated by June of 2026. So Wyatt, thank you.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Wyatt Kirchner. I'm a Vice President with Molson Corbin, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys tonight to talk about the study that we're working on for the East Side Extension. As you recall, we were here several months back kind of talking about some of these things, and then you guys had requested that we look at a few more options, and so we've gone back to the table a little bit and done some of that. So some of this is going to be repeat, but I think it's good to just kind of make sure that everybody understands where we are in the project. So this first slide here documents the project phases. So we're in what's called the Phase AB study, and the NMDOT, which is probably going to be a large funder of this project as we go forward, has a process through their alignment study procedures, which kind of dictates how things need to happen in order for a project to move forward into construction. And so we're following that as closely as we can. So we're in the Phase AB process, which is where we look at alternatives, we look at the need for a project, we analyze existing conditions, we take those alternatives to the public, we get their input, and then we screen those down to a recommended alternative. And so that all happens through the Phase AB process, which is what we're doing right now. The next phase is Phase C, which is the environmental documentation. That's where you start to follow the NEPA process in detail. So you do the cultural studies, the noise analysis, those kind of things to identify if there's any fatal flaws in an alternative, and make sure that it meets all of the NEPA requirements. And then once that's complete, we'll begin the design process, and we'll propose to follow the NMDOT's process, which is 30, 60, 90 PS&E, which is kind of that 100% design, and then stamped plans. And then, of course, within that is the right-of-way mapping and the right-of-way acquisition. We probably will begin that around the 30% design phase once we have a good footprint established of what that is. And that'll follow the Uniform Act, which is a federal process for right-of-way, which basically you get an appraisal value of every property. It gets staked. You have negotiations with the property owners for that. And it goes through a fair process that's been defined by the FHWA and NMDOT. And then finally, you get to construction. That's kind of where we all want to be, but that process takes a long time to get there. So I think we all know what we're doing here, but just to kind of summarize, we're looking at how do we extend what the Village of Los Lunas and in partnership with the county have done to create a connection from I-25 that crosses the river and terminates currently at New Mexico 47. We want to extend this from New Mexico 47 to the Manzano Expressway. So generally, we're kind of looking at this whole bubble of area here of some options of how do we get from New Mexico 47 further to the east. So this is kind of how we're situated again. So you can see New Mexico 6 to the top, Los Lunas Boulevard to the south here, which is in construction. And then it terminates at New Mexico 47. So we know that with this project, we're going to add a lot of traffic to New Mexico 47 there at Hyde Lane now, which is then going to go north and south on New Mexico 47 and kind of utilize your guys' local streets. They probably do it anyway because they're going up to New Mexico 6, but it may just kind of create some more issues in some of those areas. So just kind of going to give you an overview of what we're looking at on Los Lunas Boulevard for a full build out, which is 2 lanes in each direction with a raised median and a multi-use trail on one side of the roadway. Keep in mind, Los Lunas Boulevard, because of where it's located, it's pretty much an access controlled roadway. So there's not lots of driveways on and off of it. It's a mover of vehicles. When we start looking at alternatives for extending this further to the east, it's not so easy to do because there is so much more development to the east, and it's really hard to control the access as much as we are able to on this other project. So, I mean, we could if we wanted to, but of course that involves putting in frontage roads and taking more right away and having a larger impact. So if that's something that you guys really want us to consider, we can do that. But just so you know, it isn't as easy. There will be most likely more access points than we experience on the project that's currently in construction. So here's all of the options kind of all overlaid on each other here. I'll go through all of these in more detail, but you can kind of see all of them in one spot of what we looked at here. So I'll just go through the initial alternatives. These are the ones that we presented to you several months back, just to refresh your memory. So the first option that we looked at, alternative 1, actually starts at Arona Road, just north of where Los Lunas Boulevard ties into New Mexico 47. So somebody that would want to access this corridor would come down Los Lunas Boulevard, turn left at New Mexico 47, and then have to do a right turn on Arona Road. That continues to the east, and it ties to the Manzano Expressway north of Airport Road. With this one, it's 3.14 miles long, has 115 parcels that are impacted, 14 structures and homes, and then we have 6 MRGCD crossings. The next one we looked at, this one actually ties directly off of the end of Los Lunas Boulevard and goes to the east. This one utilizes Arona Road as well, but it starts at that intersection. So it ends up curving a little bit further south and then goes north, ties to Arona Road, and ties at the same location east of or north of Airport Road. This one's a little bit longer at 3.25 miles. It does impact 112 parcels, 15 homes, and it has 7 MRGCD crossings. The third option we looked at, it's very similar with the exception of we don't utilize any existing roadways. This one kind of blazes new ground across everything. It is 3.3 miles long, ties in at the Los Lunas Boulevard extension intersection. It does impact 16 structures and homes, and again has 7 MRGCD crossings. The next one we looked at, again, kind of doesn't utilize any of the existing roads. We tried to squeeze it through parcels without impacting the houses themselves. But again, this one does have 103 parcels that it impacts, 17 homes are impacted, and 7 MRGCD facilities that we would have to cross. As we get to alternative 5, this one's probably From a traffic perspective, the least feasible as that it uses Omar Road and then Arona Road. But the offset between Los Lunas Boulevard and Omar Road is pretty short. That distance is, so it's not going to meet NMDOT requirements for spacing on those intersections. So it's got some appealing pieces to it in the way it utilizes Arona Road, but it's probably not something that the NMDOT would approve as we go forward. But it does have 81 parcels, 14 homes, 6 years irrigation crossings. And then alternative 6, again, comes off the end of Los Lunas Boulevard, utilizes Arona Road, and then ties in at Airport Road. I think that's really the biggest difference between some of these alternatives is we just moved that connection point to the Manzano Expressway a little bit further south to Airport Road, which avoids a lot of parcels. You can see just to the, if you guys can see my pointer on your guys' screens, but there's a subdivision, a platted subdivision in here, and this goes just to the south of it. So the number of parcels that it impacts drops significantly, and that's because we're not going through this platted subdivision. And then alternative 7, this one again doesn't utilize any existing roadways, ties in at the end of Los Lunas Boulevard, and finally connects at the Manzano Expressway at Airport Road. It's 3.06 miles, 63 parcels, 17 structures, 7 MRGCD crossings. So those were the ones that we had left you guys with last time. And the direction you guys provided us was look at some of the existing roads we have, see if we can improve those rather than tear up everything. See if there's some existing alignments that we could just improve to make this work. And so the first one, I think probably the most obvious one to utilize is New Mexico 263 or El Cerro Loop. So with this one, you would come to New Mexico 47 on Los Lunas Boulevard. You'd make a right turn, continue down New Mexico 47. It's less than a mile, and then turn onto New Mexico 263. So this one follows New Mexico 263 or El Cerro Loop, and then it follows basically the existing alignment of Settle Mission Boulevard to the Manzano Expressway. Because both of those, all of those roads are just 2-lane, pretty narrow right-of-ways, it does have a significant impact as far as the number of takes that we do have. We have 118 parcels that are impacted, and most of those are on New Mexico 263 by New Mexico 47. It does impact 24 structures, and we do have 5 MRGCD crossings. The next one we looked at was really improving Otero Road. That's the next closest intersection to the south. And so this one, again, you'd come off of Los Lunas Boulevard, make a right turn on Otero Road. And then we followed that around till we hit New Mexico 263 and then El Cerro Mission. This one, again, impacts 80 parcels, so it is fewer parcels that are impacted and fewer structures at 14, but we do have 1 additional MRGCD crossing with this option. Alternative 10, this one, kind of going back off of the original scope, was to look at how do we go off the end of Los Lunas Boulevard. So we went to that alternative, and then we tied it into El Cerro Mission Loop and El Cerro Boulevard, or Mission Boulevard sooner. So it goes a little bit further south. Initially ties into Otero Road, right in this area, utilizes it till it ties to New Mexico 263, which goes around and ties into El Cerro Mission Boulevard and around to the expressway. This one is 3.36 miles long, 64 parcels, 11 structures, and this one actually has an additional MRGCD crossing with 8. Option 11, again, it's very similar to option 10. The big difference between these 2 alternatives is you can see instead of utilizing El Cerro Mission Boulevard for the entire alignment, we swing up to the north at about Grulé, and we go to the south of that platted subdivision here that's on the Manzano Expressway. Really, the thought behind this was to tie in some of this subdivision sooner to this corridor so that we don't clog up some of the other options. But that's why it kind of bulbs out to the north. Again, 3.45 miles, 68 parcels, 11 structures, and then 8 irrigation crossings. And then the final option we looked at, again, it's very similar, except for we started to kind of smooth out some of the curves. We didn't utilize New Mexico 263 at all with this one. We just crossed it, but we did stay further south. So we tie in at New Mexico 47 and Los Lunas Boulevard. We come down Otero Road right in here is where we connect to it. And then we cross New Mexico 263 and then end up back up here at Airport Road. Again, 69 parcels, 7 structures. This one has 9 irrigation crossings. So unfortunately, there's not an option that doesn't have a significant number of parcels that are taken. There's not a single option that we can come up with that with the full right-of-way width doesn't impact a structure or a home of some sort, which is challenging for sure. So just to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at, is 110 feet of right-of-way is what we're proposing to do. And we would ask that you guys purchase that all at one time. We wouldn't want to kind of Band-Aid approach this, because if you take property from a homeowner and then come back and have to do it again for the same project, we found on the Los Lunas Boulevard project, they are really, really mad the second time. They're mad the first time, but it's a lot worse when you come back and do it again. So what we're thinking of maybe a full build out section would be 2 lanes in each direction with a center median. We're looking at pedestrian multimodal improvements, and really this is from a funding perspective. There's a lot of money in multimodal funding or multimodal improvements. Los Lunas Boulevard got about $10 million for adding a multi-use path. So we thought adding that multi-use path is a good thing for you guys to be able to leverage a little bit more funding. And then since we do have most likely residents on both sides, we did add a sidewalk on the north or the south side of the corridor just to allow for those mobility along the corridor. We did look at some phased options just to build it because we know it's going to be a large chunk of money to get this done. So maybe we look at phasing it, acquiring the whole right away and building what we need to now, but with the ability to quickly add in things in the future. So that's some options of what that might look like in phase 1, just building 1 lane in each direction, which is what Los Lunas Boulevard is doing currently. And then we did also look at an option here because we realized that it's more of a rural area. And as I mentioned early in the presentation, there's going to be a lot more access points on this road than the other one. So putting a raised median may not be the solution for everything, just because there is so many driveways. And so there may be some areas that we do open it up and do a 2-way left turn lane to add those multiple access points and provide better access to folks. So that's something that we would consider from a more of a rural perspective. I know that being rural is important probably to a lot of these people that live out in the county. And so we want to recognize that as much as we can. And so I know some of the things that we're looking at tonight is just a little bit of input from you guys. We've got 12 options. Of course, the next steps for us is we're going to take these options to the public and let them look at them, understand what's happening, get their feedback and concerns. We expect there's going to be significant concerns with this project. And then we'll document that. And then, of course, the one thing we're working on now, I met with our traffic modeler this morning just to understand how this is really going to improve things. We know New Mexico 6 is a mess. The traffic model shows that you drive out there right now, you would see it without a traffic model. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So I'm working with them to tweak things of how Los Lunas Boulevard is going to improve that and change that. But then they don't want to necessarily look at all 12 options because it's really not going to change stuff. So we're going to kind of narrow that down before we give them the go ahead to look at 3 or 4 of these alternatives in depth from a traffic analysis standpoint. And then once we do the public involvement first meeting, we're going to present them all the options that we've done here tonight. We'll get their feedback. We may make some tweaks to those. We'll do the traffic modeling for all of those. We'll come back with a recommended alternative, and we'll have another public meeting with that. Depending on what you guys' input is and what we're finding, we may move into phase C, which is the environmental process, with more than one option. Just depending on if there may be something that from an environmental standpoint that we need to avoid. And so we want to make sure that we don't lock ourselves into something that's a dead end. So we haven't engaged an environmental consultant to help us with that so that we can get some preliminary input from them, so that we don't recommend something that's a fatal flaw right off the bat. So with that, I will stand for any questions that you may have. And then we can kind of go back. I know Jeremias has some action items for you guys to help us maybe narrow those down. I realize it's a lot of information and you guys may need some time to look at that. And we don't need a decision tonight. Of course, as we are moving towards the draft report later this year, we're going to have to make some decisions sooner than later, but it doesn't necessarily have to be tonight.
Questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chair.
Please.
So I'm not speaking for any of the other commissioners. Any of these routes cheaper, better, in your professional opinion, that's one is going to impact how I guess I say this, you're going to have least resistance from the public, which is going to be cheaper to actually build it. And I mean, I understand coming right off the Los Angeles Boulevard, and I 100% agree with that. I don't think we need to, the people going down 47 and then cutting back, the whole idea is to move traffic. But I mean, cost is going to be a humongous deal, and
It is.
environmental, things that you said. I mean, we want to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money, and we don't want to I'd rather go a little bit further where it doesn't affect as many people, but I think you'd have less money than going through a bunch of houses and less people pissed off.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard thing that I've tried to figure out what's the balance of that. Because when we left here last time, I thought, well, maybe El Cerro Mission Loop or El Cerro Loop is the way to go. Go down to 263 and avoid it. But then when we looked at it, it's like, well, we impact more structures with that option than we do any of the other options. And so that one kind of was like, well, maybe this isn't the solution that we hoped it was going to be, especially when we go with that wider footprint. There are so many houses that are pretty close to that existing right-of-way, and so any takes are going to have a significant impact. I think from purely a traffic perspective, and the way those traffic models work, it's shortest distance. We all do it. We go the shortest distance from point A to point B, gets us there quicker. So something that ties in from a purely traffic perspective, ties in at the end of Los Lunas Boulevard, goes to the east and ties into the Manzano Expressway. The straightest shot is probably going to be, strictly from an engineering perspective, the best option. But of course, that doesn't factor in all the environmental impacts, the impacts to the public, things like that. Something like option 7 here has the least number of parcels that are impacted, I believe. It's like 63. So that's from a right-of-way cost. That one may be the least, just because you're impacting the least number of parcels. But again, it's what the value is of those homes that you're taking, and then just the other impacts that you are going to have. Of course, the shorter the distance, the less it's going to cost. But all of them are within a few tenths of a mile as far as length. So I don't really have a great answer for you, unfortunately.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bazell, I did want to bring to your attention option number 12. I understand the concern about the impact to the actual structures. So with that particular route, there was only 7 structures that were going to be impacted, and 69 parcels, which is still one of the 3rd or 4th lowest number of parcels that's going to be impacted by all the 12 routes. So I just wanted to express that to you, Commissioner Bazell.
And then with all the ingress and egress off the easement, I guess. Are we talking about like traffic lights?
Chairman, Commissioner, I would think we probably will have some traffic lights. I would expect that, of course, New Mexico 47, there's going to be a traffic light there once Los Lunas Boulevard is built. But I would expect if we cross New Mexico 263, we'd probably have a traffic signal. When we intersect the Manzano Expressway, I would expect we would probably also have a traffic signal there.
Chairman, Commissioners, so I just kind of wanted to mention that, so I got the presentation last night, and before the presentations, and I just want to share my top three would have been 5, 6, and 10. Based on his presentation, obviously number 5 will not be accepted by NMDOT. So my next top priorities would be 6, 7, 10, and 12. I am between 10 and 12, but 12 does have less impact than 10, and it is a straight shot. So I just kind of wanted to give my comments and input on that.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, Jeremias, I know that you have a lot of connections, DOT, and is there anything that you want to point out, any one of these routes that you want to comment on?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bezell, thank you for that question. I think it's very important to take note of what Molson and Corbin indicated on keynote number 5. I'm sorry, alternate number 5. You know, just incorporating another turn just really goes against what the intent of what we're trying to do. And, you know, the more turns that we involve, the more impact for potential traffic accidents. So when we're looking at this, I really feel that options 6, 7, and 12 all meet what it is that we were asking Molson and Corbin to do, and does keep a limited amount of parcels that are being impacted. So number 6 impacts 68 parcels, number 7, 63, and number 12, 69. And respectively, the structures on each of those are minimal. I mean, 7 it's the lowest, and that's alternative number 12. But 6 and 7, those are the ones that really align with how Wyatt mentioned the straight shot, the affordability, the keeping the price tag low. So like Lena had mentioned her top 3, I think options 6, 7, and 12 respectively meet those considerations. And, you know, we're working with NMDOT already now on intersection improvements to the north and south loop at NM47, in addition to the intersection of the south loop and Sandhill. So we are working with the DOT, because those are all DOT right-of-ways, on enhancements to those intersections to kind of be ready to accept this larger scale project.
Mr. Chair, so I guess this would be so this would be a county road, correct?
I'm sorry?
This is going to be a county road?
No, this will belong to DOT, just like the Los Lunas Boulevard.
This will belong to.
Mhm. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, I guess it'll be county.
So as far as on the flip side of that, maintenance and stuff like that, you know, snow, ice, all that stuff is going to take up, you're going to have to consider that as well.
Yes, we will. We'll have to consider maintenance as well as building our department to be bigger.
I mean, on that aspect of it, I would really hope that, you know, I know you will, but really look at this, you know, with your foremen, because you guys are going to have to maintain this. I know you'll probably be retired by the time you have to do something, but
2 years.
but again, we're going to have to maintain this. So I want to make sure that we're ready as a county to how much money we would have to budget for any kind of maintenance we're going to have to do on
We
this.
will make sure we look at all that and it is put into a report.
Thank you.
Sure. And Wyatt, just to be clear, the parcels, the structures, all of that is based on a full build out, right? not a reduced build out of just one lane each way. That's for full build out.
Mr. Chair, Councilor Berry, yes, sir. And that's based off of us acquiring the full 110 feet of right-of-way with this initial phase of the project, just so we don't have to come back and acquire property for expansion in the future. And as we go through the negotiation process and the right-of-way process, some of that's going to change. When we do this, we'll find that maybe some of these parcels aren't large enough to have any beneficial use anymore. So the parcel may be a complete take instead of a partial take. So there's going to be some of that as we move forward into the design process that we'll have to work through for sure. And then, of course, there's going to be drainage infrastructure that we may need for ponding and things like that that really we haven't considered at this point just because it's so preliminary. So that's 69 parcels, like on alternative 12, it may be 75, it may be 65 by the time we're done, but roughly that's what it is for every one of them.
Mr. Chair, another, I'm sure you probably haven't looked at it too much yet, but you know, just the number of parcels and number of structures, it might be worthwhile analyzing which structures and residences we're talking about. You know, some of them would be a whole lot harder to buy than others. And that might change the metrics in this also, you know. And like you were saying, you know, some of those parcels might not be worth anything if we just take part of it and you have to end up with the whole thing, that I'm sure we haven't done much of that analysis yet, but.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Councilor Richardson, we will do some of that. The hard part about doing that is if you start to analyze things from an engineering perspective based off of ownership, you start to cross into an environmental justice impacts. And so we don't want to cross those lines and saying, oh, this is a poor community, or a poor parcel, let's buy this one as opposed to this one, which has more value. So we have to kind of, from an engineering perspective, I don't really look at the ownership too much at this point, just because I don't want to cross that environmental justice line, which it does, of course, it does make things more costly or potentially more costly by doing it.
Fair enough.
Anything else, commissioners? Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for addressing the number of miles. Each one of these is going to encompass the parcels and the structures. That helps us a lot and also with the crossings, that helps us identify, have some additional information to try and identify the top three, or the three that we'll be all selecting, I guess. But I appreciate the extra effort put forth to identify those. Thank you for that. Okay. If that's that, we'll go ahead and end with our presentations and continue on with our action items.
Tessa, are you hovering over creating those boxes on the bottom?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. Action item 17, selection of the top three alternative routes for the East Side Extension project. Mr. Silva.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, again, we are requesting consideration to approve the top three alternative routes based on the presentation provided by Molson and Corbin. We do consider his request. If you all are not comfortable on making a decision right now, we can definitely entertain that at a later date. I just did want to advise the board that the funding in which this is being paid on does revert June 30th of 2026. So we are trying to get those top three selections situated with enough time to incorporate public comment and allow Molson and Corbin to do the necessary gathering of information for a final closeout to this board. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, we did develop an Excel spreadsheet that is being displayed should you want to take action. So for example, Commissioner Seiss, if you want 4, 5, and 6, we'll tally that. If Commissioner Sparkman wants 2, 3, and 5, and then so it starts calculating which is actually a true top 3. That way we can provide that to Molson and Corbin. But again, if this board is not ready to make that decision, we can be prepared for a workshop or anything else you'd like.
Commissioners, is there anybody that's not ready to make a selection at this time? Then I think we can go ahead and move forward at that head miss.
Okay, great. You give me just 1 second, Commissioner. Okay, I am ready for you. So if when you do take vote on these, Commissioner Seiss, if we can go just a little bit slower, just so I can make sure and capture it correctly.
Okay, I'll start out. 7, 10, and 12.
Okay. Yes, sir.
7,
Okay.
6,
Okay. Okay.
I say 6, 7, and 12.
Commissioner Bazell?
6, 7, and 12.
6. And Commissioner Berry?
12, 7, 6.
12, 7, and 6, right? Okay. Members of the commission, I just wanted to confirm that after the tallies have been situated, we have alternates 6, 7, and 12 that Molson and Corbin will proceed further studies on.
Okay, at this time we do have, it is an action item. So Hidemius has identified 6, 7, and 12, I believe. Is that what you said? As the top 3 alternative routes for the East Side Extension project that will have Molson start working on. Was that right? The 6, 7, and 12?
6, 7, and 12.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Got it. With that said, is there a recommendation, please?
Mr. Chair,
Please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 6, 7, and 12 for Molson Corbin to proceed forward.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Bazell, second by Commissioner Berry. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Be none. Commissioner Richardson, your vote. Commissioner Bazell, your vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote.
Yes.
I vote yes. We can get started on it.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you guys very much for your work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission.
Okay, item 18, action item, approval of a resolution adopting an affordable housing plan. And Mr. Pato?
Mr. Chairman, I'm a little bit confused about where we are on the agenda. I mean, I know that we moved items after the presentations, but we haven't considered item number 11, which was the consideration of the IGSA.
After item number 18.
Do you want to take that first? Is that,
You know what, if we could, that'd probably be helpful.
okay, are you guys, commissioners, fine with that?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead. Action item number 11, consideration of a intergovernmental agreement with the state of New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions for the provision of housing assistance. Mr. Pato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, commissioners. So what you have before you is a revised draft IGSA with the Department of Workforce Solutions for affordable housing funding for the county. I had an opportunity to visit with Secretary Nair last Monday up at the Roundhouse, and we sat down and visited, and I shared with her what this board had discussed about broadening the scope for the scope of work for the IGSA. She authorized a broadening to track the statutory language, which would be to support housing, affordable housing, transitional housing, and the expansion of housing service providers that facilitate behavioral health services and substance abuse recovery, homelessness assistance, and prevention for persons with behavioral health needs. So the world is this board's oyster as it relates to the expenditure of the funds. This grant would provide the county $1.8 million reimbursement for the implementation of affordable housing program, and you will be considering that affordable housing program next on the agenda. And I stand for any questions of the board.
Questions of Mr. Peta? Be none. Recommendation, please.
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Have a motion for approval from Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Richardson. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Again, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Sparks, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, is approved. So now we'll go ahead and move on to item 18, approval of a resolution adopting an affordable housing plan. Mr. Peta.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioner Berry requested this item on the agenda. And this program that's outlined in this draft resolution implements a $30,000 down payment assistance program with a $30,000 builder match, or with a builder match. It didn't specify the amounts. So it's open for this board to decide and define what that down payment assistance would be or what the match would be. Or you don't have to decide at this point. It's completely at your discretion about how you approach that. Once we receive a scope of work of the affordable housing program this board directs be implemented, we've worked with Ms. Unruh to secure a draft form of solicitation. We'll drop that scope of work into that solicitation, put it out on the street for 10 days, and hopefully have that before you for an award on March 4th. The reason why this is so remarkably time sensitive, and based on my conversation with Secretary Nair last Monday, the funds have to be expended by June 30th of 2026. So just to be clear, we will not be able to secure additional funding for anything beyond June 30th, 2026 at this point. She said that she's working with the legislature to secure additional appropriations for next year, but this agreement, the funds have to be expended by June 30th, 2026. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And according to the documents that she provided, it looks like the final invoice has to be submitted on June 10th. So that's even earlier than the June 30th for the expenditure of those funds. So it'd be a quick effort to dispatch the $1.8 million in funding.
Okay, Mr. Peta, I'm not real sure. I guess if we have questions, we would direct them to you. Is that appropriate?
Please, yes.
Okay.
And I'll answer what I can, or I'll find someone here who can help me if I can't.
Okay. Well, being that I'm talking, I'm just gonna go ahead. If it's okay with the commission. New Mexico counties, we had a meeting about a week ago. One of our neighboring counties who does have an affordable housing plan, they have determined that within their structure of their plan, they did not address the needs or the full needs of the seniors within that county, being that their plan would require seniors to go buy a 3+ bedroom home to be able to get the assistance that's needed. And the need for the seniors that are wanting to purchase new construction is much smaller. They would actually prefer a 1-bedroom house or a townhome or something like that. So that's become an issue in the neighboring county. And I want to know, does the plan that we're looking at this evening, does that provide for that option for seniors?
This program provides for down payment assistance and with a builder match. So it doesn't specify what the size of the homes has to be or anything of that nature. It just simply provides for down payment assistance with a builder match.
Okay. I don't believe that anything that was presented to us had anything smaller than like a 3-bedroom house, but I could be wrong. Does anybody have any knowledge of that, or?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Wasn't it like, and I might be mistaken too, but wasn't it around like the $325,000 house range?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bazell, that was my recollection for what
Oh,
the amount of
oh.
the houses was.
A one-bedroom house shouldn't be 325,000, I wouldn't think.
The program before you doesn't specify that it has to be for a 3-bedroom house. I think that, there's flexibility in that. I guess you get to define, this board gets to define what the program you all are going to implement is, right? So, I mean, if you want to limit it to 2-bedroom houses or 1-bedroom houses, you can do that. You can allocate a certain portion of that $1.8 million to accomplish that if that's what you want to do. You can allocate the money as you see fit. That's what this discussion about the program really is intended to accomplish. I mean, so we have the program that Commissioner Berry has proposed and that you heard about last meeting, but this board is not confined by that. This board can decide what it would like to do as it relates to implementing an affordable housing program. And so you've heard some options from Ms. Unrau, you heard some options from our community development director, from Ms. Jaramillo. It's really at this board's discretion how you want to dispatch these funds and what you'd like to do.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
So we could follow the same timeline, have it presented on March 4th if we were to also just encompass just $30,000 down payment assistance.
Mr. Chairman.
or a builder match.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Berry, absolutely. You can, and anything you decide today as it relates to the scope of work for this program, we will drop into a solicitation and find an administrator to administer that program. So if you say you want to do a $30,000 down payment, or if you want to do down payment assistance with a builder match, then you can do that. If you want to add to that other elements or components, you can do that. You can allocate however you'd like that $1.8 million that they've committed to us for expenditure this fiscal year, but you have 3 months to get that dispatched, or 3.5 months.
And a follow-up question to that. This also does give the county $100,000 to help establish this program, correct? That is included in the grant?
There's administrative, we can secure reimbursement for administrative fees as part of this grant, yes.
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Maybe, I got a couple of things, but maybe as a suggestion to try to encompass more, if we wanted to keep a home builder match in there, maybe some language about, for any, just for new construction. I would like to see just a down payment assistance and be sure that it's available for existing homes, so that if somebody finds a 1-bedroom house that's, and especially affordability, I would think some existing homes would be, older homes would be more affordable just by, it's on, just by, just because they are older. Maybe some language in there would help to broaden this a little bit. Another thing that I noticed in here, Mr. Pato, is that we have this program is written as 150% of AMI. And I believe we have not passed the ordinance yet. Seems like maybe some language in there, borrowers should earn no more than what our ordinance states, that limit. Since we haven't passed that yet, it's still being published, right?
It is.
The other thing I noticed that's different than what we've been talking about is here, the 4th bullet point down, showing this $30,000 forgiveness after 15 years or something. I don't know about the rest of the commission, but I think I would rather that $30,000 portion of their down payment would just be repayable upon sale, so that we could reuse that money again down the road.
The other thing that, okay, thank you. The other thing that I was, and I brought this up last time, I think that there's a lot of residents in Valencia County that could use some rehabilitation on their homes, if that's a proper term, whether it be heating, something for comfort and safety, that they may not want to leave their homes, but they probably have some needs to make necessary improvements on that. But without having a current needs assessment, I think we're just sort of guessing as to what the needs of the community may be. And I think if we're going to move forward with this, I think that that's something that we need to probably take into consideration. And I just don't know how to do it without having current data to see what the needs of the community are. And if we are going to move forward with this, and if we are, as Commissioner Richardson indicated, that we could identify purchasing of smaller homes, then I think that we need to possibly, and this is just my opinion, that's all it is that we need to structure this in a way that we're going to have X amount of money set aside for purchasing of existing smaller homes versus new homes, and have kind of a combination of how this would work for the residents. But I don't know if that's something that's even doable. But just a thought as we're sitting here talking about things.
Mr. Chairman, anything is doable. I mean, I think that if this board decides that that's what the direction is and that it wants to allocate some portion of this grant funding to do that, then we'll drop that into the solicitation and find an administrator, hopefully, to administer that. I mean, it's possible that you issue a solicitation, no one responds, right? And then we're back to the drawing board as it relates to how to dispatch the funds. I mean, I think that's something this board has to consider as well. But it is very time sensitive, given that it must be expended by June 30th of this year. So, I mean, whatever direction you give, we'll make sure to incorporate that into a scope of work and get it out on the streets as quick as we can, hopefully by the end of the week.
Please.
So I kind of agree with the chair, but I also agree with the short term of the 1.8 million. Can we build something in there? And again, we would have to get with hopefully the builders could do this on this specific grant, because we're such time constraint. Could we put a clause in there that and this is just numbers, this isn't like, say the $1 million for new construction and then 800,000 for existing homes. But as the time gets closer, we can drop that down to move it over to new construction, so that money's not wasted and we can actually spend it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's completely the board's discretion. as
Yeah,
well.
but I do think that we need to be able to incorporate smaller homes within that.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, put a time limit on it so we don't lose the money.
I think that that's a good compromise.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think this board would have to discuss like how much time would be needed before June 10th, when they have to make their final accounting to make that call. So if you had it in your first May meeting, for instance, I guess it all depends on how much money you didn't put into that other pot, for the builder match and the down payment assistance. I think the board just needs to strike a balance here and figure out what date it would want that coming back to it, so we could reallocate the money towards the other program to get it spent.
Mr. Chair. And Dave, is there any way that if we, like, for example, if we did the builder match, that's going to generate probably the most revenue long-term for the county. Can we designate the funds that are generated via GRT and or property taxes to then fund these other solutions, but take advantage of the money that's here that needs to be expended in such a short timeline?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Berry, so I'm not able to speak to the GRT or the property taxes because first of all, we get a 33% of our property taxes, and we get a smaller fraction of the GRT. So I wouldn't even know how much that would be or how to calculate that or how to, but yes, we do have a very limited time within which to expend these funds. I mean, and so you need to come up, if you want to move forward with this program, you need to adopt that now. We need to get started and we need to get cracking as quick as we can. I mean, otherwise we're not going to get through the $1.8 million in time, but that's the board's decision.
Mr. Chair?
Please.
I think us trying to allocate, some part of the money to smaller homes or seniors or rehab projects or used homes or new homes, I don't think we know what the market is. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's, 4 or 5 buyers that are interested in something small that could get this done by June, or maybe there's 20. I don't know. I think the important thing is that if we sit on this very long, less residents are going to get use of this money, and probably being able to use this money and get it out is gonna, I would imagine that would help us to get some more funding next year. You know, if they allocated $1.8 million to us this year and we don't use any of it, probably less likely to do it again. But I think if we make this program broad enough to encompass whatever whatever the market will bear, you know, and using a mortgage company like the HomeWiser or the other one that was here, you know, if they're loaning the money and they have this down payment assistance available to anybody they're talking to, I think that's probably our best bet to get this money out to buyers that could use it. Really, I mean, if we're talking about June 10th as a deadline, probably anybody that could get this assistance is already looking for a house and probably already partially down that road. And I would definitely support some, you know, we looking for additional funding and additional programs for home rehabilitation projects. I think that's something we should definitely look at. I'm just worried if we get too specific on this and trying to send the money where we think it needs to go, it's probably gonna slow down the process and we have a hard time getting it all used, is what I'm afraid of. But I think this is for that sector, this, you know, the people that would really be able to use this the way it's designed. I think it's a good start for us anyways, and I think we ought to work on some broader programs into the future here. But I think if we drag our feet too much on this, we're gonna not get any of it out.
Mr. Chair, please. So Dave?
Yes, sir.
On this one, so say we kind of like what Commissioner Richardson said, get rid of the forgiveness, make it all payable back so it goes back into the fund. If we were able to pass this as it is right now, other than the few little changes, revisit it in July once this grant is already done for the next year and fine tune it for the following year, would that be inappropriate?
No, that'd be perfectly appropriate, and we can make that happen. If that's the direction of this board, we can drop the scope of work into a solicitation, get on the street. We'll have that back within 10 days, and you'll be in a position to award March 4th.
And that way, but then we can fine tune it for the following year.
Yes, absolutely. And the secretary indicated that she'd be willing to work with us in the future as well on additional funding for our affordable housing program. I did want to address one thing that had been mentioned by, I don't know what, by Commissioner Richardson, and that was the ordinance and the increase to 150%. We were advised the last meeting that would be required in order to expand the scope of individuals who are eligible for this funding, and it was on that basis that, you know, we were undertaking this expansion of that AMI. And again, that's completely up to the board's discretion whether or not you want to increase it from 120 to 150. But given that we wouldn't begin to expend these funds until consideration and adoption of an ordinance, again, if you rejected the ordinance, then we'd have to revisit the program again and revise that because it would be inconsistent. I don't know how you'd like to do that. I mean, we could. The only problem, we can't push this off until the 4th, only because then we'd have to start the solicitation process from the 4th, and that would put us to award on the 19th. And so then it shrinks the time within which we can dispatch these funds.
I understand that, and I agree with you. I just, it worries me. I mean, can we put this RFP out in this program with 150% if our ordinance says 120?
We can absolutely put an RFP out and we could award a contract. However, if it weren't ultimately adopted, if that ordinance weren't adopted, we'd have to revisit our program because our program would be inconsistent with our ordinance. And I think that's the deal. I mean, we encountered a similar sort of experience with the solid waste ordinance. It's which came first, chicken or the egg thing. But here, because the time frame is so short, I mean, I normally say, well, we wait and we adopt the ordinance, then we consider the program, and then the program will be in accordance with the ordinance. But here, there just isn't the time to do that. So you can reduce it to 120, and then it's consistent, or you can roll the dice and say 150, and hope that y'all approve that come the 4th after public hearing.
Could we just put some language in there that ties the maximum income to the ordinance?
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Yep.
So that this program matches the ordinance no matter where the ordinance ends up.
Absolutely, Commissioner Richardson. Absolutely, we could do that.
Okay. So my recommendation would be to change that language and pretty much remove this section about forgiveness. And with the builder match, specify that's for new construction and that existing housing is eligible for the down payment assistance as well.
Okay, so let me make sure I've captured everything you've said. So number one, we're going to revise the program to have the program track the ordinance as it relates to the AMI. That's number one. Number two, help me out. We're going to remove the forgiveness
section.
And the money, once the house is sold, is going to revert back to an affordable housing trust or something of that nature. So that way it can be utilized for future affordable housing projects.
Right.
Was there anything I left off?
Dave, I think he also a builder match and or 30,000 down payment assistance towards existing homes.
Yeah, maybe specify that the builder match is only for new construction, and just a sentence somewhere in there that this qualifies, or that an existing home purchase would qualify for the down payment assistance as well.
How would that happen when there wouldn't be a builder match on that? So that would have to be
It would just be the $30,000 coming from this funding through the contractor, whoever the mortgage provider is going to be.
Okay, gotcha. So for new construction, we'd require a builder match. For existing homes, we would not require a builder match, but simply we would make
who the builder is.
Yeah, we would just make the $30,000 down payment assistance.
Yeah, we don't want to. I was worried that $10,000 builder match would then muddy it so that it nearly excludes an existing home, because there's no builder to match that you could require. And I think that builder match is going to incentivize new construction somewhat, which but still, I think there are affordable homes that are existing. Any of these homes that we probably don't have the time, but people move out of to buy a new one. There's an affordable house that's open,
Mr. Chair,
Please.
With the revisions that Commissioner Richardson made, I move that we adopt the affordable housing.
We're not ready for a motion yet. I'll call for it in a minute. Thank you.
Sorry. Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Dave, could you give me just the timeline on this? Because it just seems really just out of the blue, dropped in, and then now, you gotta go spend this money. Do you have any history about it?
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Sparkman, we began the conversation at the latter part of last year, and we were advised of a June 30th, 2026 deadline. Staff expressed concerns at that time about their ability, and particularly we heard from our grants department who said that because of the hospital and other obligations, that it'd be hard to manage and administer this grant at this time. The board opted to put that off. This project resurrected the early part of this year, and again, the time frame hasn't changed. We still have an expenditure deadline of June 30th, 2026. And that's really the back. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm curious why, I know that came later last year, but when did the grant funding become available? Wouldn't it be at the beginning of last year's fiscal year?
It was at the beginning of last year's fiscal year.
Okay, but we didn't hear about it until whenever, October, November.
I don't remember when the board
But
considered
later,
it,
like,
but
it
we
wasn't
did hear about it.
immediately,
Yeah,
it came
yes,
and said, "Here you
that's
go."
correct, sir.
I just wanted to clarify that. And then, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, commissioners? There's none. Commissioner Berry?
Approve with the amendments and adopt the affordable housing program.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Be none. Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
No.
I vote no. It does pass. And Commissioner Berry, thank you so much for your hard work on this. I know you put a lot of effort and time into it. I think I do support the affordable housing, but I'm just not comfortable with where we're at on this, but I know that we'll have time to revisit it over the next 6 months, and hopefully we can incorporate a few other ideas into the next one. But again, thank all of you for your time on this. I know it was kind of a rush, but I think that there was some good information that came out of it. So that does pass.
Mr. Chairman, it's going to take me a moment to make those revisions and to incorporate that for your signature. So it's not ready for your signature at this point, but I should have something this evening.
That'll be fine.
Thanks.
Do you have a resolution number, Mike, that you want to?
You guys want to sign it? It's just the back page when we have the
Just
changes.
the resolution number signed.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the resolution is 2026-16.
Thank you. And we'll get that signature done. We'll be here for a while still. Okay, we're going to move on to our public hearing items. We have 2 of them this evening. The first one that we have is a zone change number 2025-091. Deborah Teas is requesting this zone change. At this time, I'm going to ask that anybody that is going to give any testimony on this zone change, that you please stand so you can be sworn in by our county clerk. Okay, Mr. Baca.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request for a zone change number 2025-091. This is District 2, Planning and Zoning Commissioner Freeman, Board of County Commission Richardson. Deborah Tellez requests a zone change from Rural Residential District 1, RR1, to Neighborhood Commercial District C1 for potential resale. Legal description as read on the agenda. This item was heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission on November the 18th of last year. At that meeting, it was recommended for approval by a vote of 4-0. At that meeting, there were no members of the public in favor or in opposition of this request. The applicant is here to speak with you this evening as well, and I stand for any questions.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, I'm looking at the map here. Is it both sides of the road here that we're talking about?
Chairman, Commissioners, that's correct. I'm sorry, I was going to Siemens on Expressway. Meadow Lake does split that property. So it is a single taxable parcel. However, it's separated by that road.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. And where is the closest C1?
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second.
Please ask it. Might as well ask it.
I think that one right next to it, C2.
So directly to the east and to the north are C2, the dollar store directly east. And then north of this property is also another C2 property. The nearest C1 district is approximately 1.25 back 1.25 miles northeast of the proposed change, and it's up on High Mesa Road. If you'd like, I can pull up a map for you as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Most of the frontage of Meadow Lake Road is commercial of some sort, right?
Chairman Commissioners, there are portions that are commercial. It's been identified as a priority growth corridor and it calls for future commercial activity. However, a lot of it is still zoned rural residential. There are portions that are commercial though, and I'll pull that up now as well. So Chairman Commissioners, as you can see to the directly north of the proposed project, or excuse me, property, there's the C2, and then east of this is also C2. It's not identified on the map. However, that is a dollar store. It fits the use of a C2 property. If we pull out a little further on the map, you can see most of this is purple. This is all rural residential 1 district. The C1 property identified is here. Oh, excuse me, let me make sure I have it. So the nearest is up on High Mesa Road. It is a C2 property. And you can see most of Meadow Lake Road currently is not commercial. However, it has been, like I had mentioned, it is identified as a priority growth corridor. So we are starting to see more commercial zone change requests coming in that area.
Good enough.
Any other questions? Commissioners, any other questions? I believe we have the applicants with us here this evening. If they wish to address the commission, please come forward.
Thank you, commissioners.
I would ask that you just please state your name and your address for the record.
Deborah Tejas, 826 North 5th Street in Belen.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything to add to what he already said, just that I actually read the Valencia County Comprehensive Plan, 3/4 of it before I gave up. And that's why we decided to petition for this change as it is part of the growth corridor.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions of the applicant? Mr. Tess, were you going to speak also? Oh, I'm assuming you're Mr. Tess.
Yes.
Okay. If you'll just state your name and address for the record also, please.
Luis Tejas, 826 North 5th Street, Belen.
Okay.
Okay, yes, she forgets one thing, that we know the problems, not only this county, but of the whole nation. We're not looking to just sell it to a liquor store or a hemp seller, you know, veterinary, fast food. I wanted to make a car sales lot, but she said, no, we're done. So, so no, we're not looking to make a quick buck or anything like that. We don't have anything up there. We don't have any veterinarians. We don't have it. So we're just trying to make a commercial easier for somebody to move in and help the community up there. That's all.
Commissioners, any questions? No? Okay. Mr. Baca, is there anything else you need to add to this? Okay. We will be making a decision on this in executive session. We'll report out shortly if you guys want to wait around for that decision. If not, we can notify you. It'll be a little while. So, but we'll continue on. We have another public hearing. Item 13 is appeal number 2025-108. And Leroy Lovato, Elizabeth Lovato, Joseph Cedillo, and Annette Cedillo. If there's anybody that's going to be giving any testimony on this particular appeal, I ask that you please stand to be sworn in.
Testimony that you gave in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the law, so, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Mr. Baca, go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request to appeal an addressing decision. This is appeal number 2025-108. And this is in District 4, P&Z Commissioner Sublette, Board of County Commissioners Cedillo, Bezell. Leroy Lovato and Elizabeth Lovato, Joseph Cedillo and Annette Cedillo appeal the final decision of the County Rural Addressing Division regarding the naming of a road as Wolf Farm Lane. We created this, we were approached by the Wolves in December of 2025. This is a easement that was not named, so we created a new name for this road. As the first petitioner to request a name, we allowed them to make the first choice. At that time, it was selected to be Wolf Farm Lane. That's what the final decision was made by the addressing department, and the appellants are here with their representative today to discuss this with you. I stand for any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Baca?
And Chairman, I was asked by the petitioner if I could pull it up on the maps, if you wouldn't mind.
Please.
And just to help you identify, highlighted here is the newly created or identified road named Wolf Farm Lane. Currently sits between 4 Anaya Road and 6 Anaya Road here on the corner of Anaya Road. And as stated, the applicant is here to present if you would like to have him up.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't know who wants to speak first, but I'll give you the option. The applicant, is it Larry, or do you want to?
Or Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the appellant speak first, given that it's their appeal.
Okay.
And Chairman, Commissioners, we do have an authorization form to allow him as a notice of appearance to represent them. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Dave, are you okay with that?
There was an authorization to allow Mr. Gugino to represent them today.
Yes.
And that is in the packet. Do the applicants still need to come up?
Oh, no, the attorney is fine for
Okay, thank you.
for the applicant, yeah, or the appellant.
Mr. Gugino, if you'll just identify yourselves and your reason for presenting tonight.
Sure. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, my name is Larry Gugino. I represent Mr. and Mrs. Cedillo and Mr. and Mrs. Lovato, who are owners of the property that are actually burdened by the easement. I can give you my address and stuff. It's
just for the record. Let's go ahead.
My physical address is 435 Luna Avenue, Los Lunas, New Mexico, 87031.
Thank you.
So if I may, I didn't know how we were going to do this today, but so I have Mr. Baca showed you a handout of the area. I mean, showed you the map online, and I actually have a plat showing the properties and stuff that I'd like if I can approach and show
Please.
you the plat, because I just didn't know how we were going to do.
That's fine.
So this plat, this plat shows all the properties that Mr. Baca showed on the GIS map. And so the county commission in 2016 passed ordinance 2016-01, which has to do with rural addressing. And that was done to come into compliance, according to the ordinance, with E911, so that you can have street names and E911 can dispatch people, the VRECC can dispatch people to those locations. And so in this case, there's a naming process that's involved. And my clients, Mr. Cedillo and Mr. and Mrs. Cedillo and Mr. and Mrs. Lovato object to the name of Wolf Farm Lane. And they have a couple of reasons why they object to it. The first reason is that, these are difficult. It's hard to figure out when you look at the ordinance has a definition of adjacent landowners and who is an adjacent landowner. And that's, and I think you have a copy of the ordinance in your packet. And if you don't, I have copies for everyone as well. But an adjacent landowner is defined in the ordinance, and it's on page It's on page 1.3 and it goes into page 1.4 of the ordinance. And so I think it's helpful to understand these are the people that have to be notified of a new road name. So this would have been a new road name. It's not a changing of a road name. It had no name, as Mr. Bacchus stated. This would be a new road name. And so one of the requirements is that all the adjacent landowners need to be notified. And so an adjacent landowner means a person, persons, or agency that own or holds title to a property that fronts, is adjacent to, or otherwise touches the subject road, in this case, the easement. This includes owners of corner properties, even if that property is accessed from a road intersecting the subject road. And all determinations based on the number of petitioners for the proposed action versus the number of petitioners against the proposed action, the county will accept one vote per property only, irrespective of the number of owners of that property. So it just means if 3 people own a property, they get 1 vote. And I think that's important because if you look at the plat that I provided to you, so this is a plat that was done just last year in May of 2025. And for history, in 1988, these tracks that you're going to see, you see tract A1. Well, actually at the top here, it's hard to explain, but if you look at the top, this is tract A2 that exists now, and it's very small. This is tract A1, this is tract B2, this is tract B1. In 1988, these were one pieces of property, tracts A and tract B. Subsequently, tract A got split into 2 tracts, and that's when this particular 40-foot easement was put in place. And the easement goes from the intersection of Anaya Road on the north, and it goes sort of in a southwesterly direction to the boundary line of tract B. Then in so it existed in 1988, in 2021, the easement was moved to the location shown on this plat. So it was just moved. In 2025, the little cul-de-sac that you see there, that's when that was created. So originally you had tract A1, A2, and then tract B, and that's the way it was in 2021. And then in 2025, it was further split and that cul-de-sac was added. So when you look at these pieces of property under the definition of adjacent property owners, so you have A1 and A2, B1 and B2, but then there's the piece that's on what would be the northwest corner of Anaya Road. And as you can see by the definition, it touches and concerns this easement. Even though they don't access their property that way, they access through Anaya Road, based on the definition, it's adjacent and they were entitled to notice. And the fix for that is you resend out notice and everybody gets to vote or not vote, because your ordinance is very clear. If someone does not vote and they don't turn in a vote, then it just doesn't get counted. It doesn't get counted as yes, it doesn't get counted as no. It's just a no, it's just like an abstention that doesn't count. But in this case, when you look at the record, the notices were sent to the following property owners. So they were sent to the owners of tract B1 and B2, which are the Wolves, and the notices were sent to the owners of tract A1 and A2, which are the Lovatos. I got to look here. The Lovatos own A2 and the Cedillos own A1. Well, the person who didn't get a notice was a gentleman by the name of Solomon Hernandez, who owns that northwest corner. And so he didn't get any notice at all. And the ordinance contemplates that sort of notice. So we think that's a problem. It's a procedural problem, just entitled to it. The bigger problem we think is this. Your ordinance states that one of the things that you cannot have in the county are roads with similar sounding names or roads with uncharacteristic spellings. And that's in section 3.2, 3.2, and that's subsection E and subsection H. So subsection E, 3.2 says unacceptable road names. E, unconventional spellings. So you have wolf, and in this case, it's spelled W-U-L-F. It's not W-O-L-F. And secondly, you have names that are duplicates or similar sounding to existing road names that falls within the jurisdiction of Valencia County, irrespective of the spelling. And it gives examples. For example, Beach Street spelled B-E-A-C-H, Beach Street spelled B-E-E-C-H, and Peach Street spelled P-E-A-C-H. In other words, they're so closely sounding that they shouldn't be allowed to have those names. And it's interesting, in talking, I did contact the VRECC about this, and talking with them, another example would be because we have a lot of Spanish speakers in this county. And so if you name a road, for example, Butterfly Road, and you go, well, how confusing is that? But if I'm a Spanish speaker and I'm on Butterfly Road, I may call it Mariposa. And to me, that may be okay, but to 911, it isn't. And that's the whole purpose of your ordinance. Your ordinance is to make sure that police officers, firefighters, ambulance, when they're dispatched and they're told this is the name of the road, when they enter it into their mobile data terminal, that it comes up as a road. And so in this case, if I may approach one more time, I did a search for road names in Valencia County. And sure enough, there's a Wolf Road, W-O-L-F-E, and it exists in District 5. And so if I may,
Please.
This is just a screenshot, it's a GIS screenshot
Thank you.
of the county commission districts that are maintained on the county commission website. And as you can see, there is a Wolf Road right there. The other thing, and I'm going to ask Mr. Baca for this, you can actually go to the VRECC website. And when you go to the website, you can actually enter the name of the road and it'll tell you where the property location is. And in this case, what the website's going to show is if you spell it W-O-L-F or W-O-L-F-E, you're going to come up with this Wolf Road. You're going to come up with, I think it's Spirit Wolf. There's a few wolves if you spell it just W-O-L-F. Wolf Farm Road does not come up with that spelling. If you spell it Wolf Farm Road, W-O-L-F, F-A-R-M, or Wolf Farm Lane, nothing comes up at all. You have to be able to spell it exactly, W-U-L-F. If you don't spell it that way, nothing comes up. And we think that violates section 3.2. So even if you were to send it, even if you were to say, well, Mr. Hernandez is entitled to notice, we need to go back and give notice again. It would be our position that this name cannot be used because it violates 3.2 H or 3.2 E. It's an unconventional spelling, or it sounds similar to a name of a road that already exists in Valencia County. And so that's what our position is. Can I ask you, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, can you bring up the VRECC website?
Please, right.
Yeah, and if you go to the About tab, there it is. Yeah, if you just type in Wolf, WOLF, and it'll give you a list of names. I don't have it in front of me. So if you look at that, and I'll talk about it. If you look at that on the screen, it comes up with Wild Wolf, Wolf Road. If you can just scroll down a little bit, it comes up with Wolf Trail, which actually is in Torrance County, not Valencia County.
Chairman, Commissioners, we can't get anything on the record when he's away from the mic.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. So it comes up with those. I can look at the one in back. So anyway, those are the names. Now, if you just type in WOLF farm, FARM, and you hit enter, there's nothing. Nothing comes up. And so, while I understand that the Wolves really want that name, but the problem is there will be eventually other property owners along that easement, especially along what would be along the west side of that easement on tract potentially A1 that would have that address. And so it's dangerous because I call 911, they dispatch, the officer enters the information, and nothing happens. It takes more time. So we would ask the commission to disallow that name based on the fact that it violates 3.2E, an unconventional spelling of wolf, WULF, and H, that it contains a name that's duplicative, this isn't distinct enough based on how it's done and spelled. Additionally, we would request, no matter what the commission decides, that at least it should go out so that Mr. Hernandez, who is definitely adjacent based on the definition, so at least he gets a letter saying, you have the right to object to this if you want to. Because his property is going to be at the intersection of Anaya Road and what would be the name of this road. So that's our request. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Gugino, commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
The letters went out, I think, at the end of November, beginning of December, and the appeal was taken within 30 days of those letters going out, which is what the ordinance requires. So this is just recently named.
Please.
Mr. Bucket, do you know how often the RECC website is updated?
Please do.
Yeah, they were already half-fed.
So Chairman Commissioners, because these are for 911 purposes, they do try to get any new address or any new road updated within 72 hours, I believe it is.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I think to answer your question, Mr. Commissioner Spartan, I think if he types in the word WULF farm, the road will come up. I'm not trying to be tricky here or anything. I'm just saying, based on your ordinance, the ordinary spelling of it, it's never going to come up, and it seems to violate that 3.2.
Sure, but then my other follow-up to that then wouldn't be the spelling with an E violate the traditional spelling?
No, because if I just type in WOLF, the one with the E comes up.
Maybe it's because they haven't been cross-linked enough.
Pardon
Since
me?
it's such a new road, maybe there hasn't been a cross-link to say if I spell Wolf Farms this way, it'll pop up with a U. Right? Because I'm assuming those other properties or roads have been in the database much longer than this one.
But I don't know how you get over names that are duplicate or similar sounding to existing road names. Because the commission was clear in what they were doing. They didn't want any confusion with road names at all, because it's a hindrance to public safety.
So then your argument would be that the other Wolf spelling is also invalid.
No, because the other wolf spelling, when I type WOLF, which is how I'm going to type wolf, it's going to come up even if there's an E. I mean, if you look, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But enough time, you don't think that the U spelling would also cross-link?
No, because it's WULF. And I don't think it's going to the computer's not picking up phonetics. I think and I'm not a computer expert, but that's a human thing, what we hear and what we've been taught. So when you hear wolf, you think WOLF, you don't think WULF. And so that would be my response.
I think it might be you now.
Thank you.
Mr. Gugino?
Mr. Gugino,
I believe you have another
question. When this name change happened, were your clients were notified?
Yes, and they objected.
Is it, so maybe I don't understand the ordinance correctly. Everybody that gets notified actually gets to vote on this?
So they get to vote, or they can, if you abstain from voting, if you do not turn in your vote, then it's as if you don't exist.
Right.
So for example, if there are 5 properties and only 4 people vote, the 5th property doesn't get counted towards a majority or 50%. However, in this case, Mr. Hernandez was never sent a letter based upon what we got back in an IPRA request.
Right. But your 2 clients, those 2 properties each voted no?
Yes.
And then the Wolves have
Voted
2 properties,
yes.
correct?
They voted yes.
And but they have 2 properties, so they got 2 votes as well?
And they voted yes.
Right, so it was a tie.
So there's a tie, and under the ordinance, if there's a tie, then you just assign it to it looks like the ordinance, you just assign it to that first one, I think.
Mr.
I
Baca, go
guess-
ahead.
So Chairman, Commissioners, for the process of naming a new road, an unnamed road, what we do is we allow the first petitioner the primary choice of that road name. And we send out notification and allow all adjacent property owners to make a vote and a determination if they are opposed or opposed or in favor of it. In the case, if for the primary choice to not be accepted, there has to be 51% or greater opposition. So in this case, there was 50% opposition, which does not meet that threshold. So therefore, we continued with the Wolf Farm Lane.
And what my argument is, if you include all 5 lots, if they had been sent notice, I don't know how Mr. Hernandez would vote or not, but all I know is he never got the opportunity. So it's conceivable that it could be 60-40 instead, or either way, it could be 60-40 either way, or it could be 50-50 again.
One more thing.
Chairman, Commissioners, so it is stated, if we do not receive a written response from a adjacent property owner, it shall be construed as no objection to the proposed action. So essentially, there no opposition. It's looked at basically as in favor of.
And is anybody that is opposing this, are their addresses changing or anything like that?
Let's see. The address at A2 would not change because its address is off of Anaya Road.
Right.
But if there's a house built on A1, its address would change.
Be Wolf.
It would be Wolf Lane, yeah. And the adjacent property of Mr. Hernandez
His address would
is although he doesn't access it through Wolf Lane, under the ordinance, it's our position that he meets the definition of an adjacent. So he was entitled to notice. And all we're saying is he didn't get it. He should get notice. He should have a right to vote.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Go
just
ahead, Commissioner.
Ryan? You know why Mr. Hernandez wasn't in the letter?
Chairman, Commissioners, just our interpretation of it, it was the 4 properties directly adjacent. And we did not include that one in part of our determination of what was considered adjacent. You're welcome.
If I may, Commissioner Bazell, I would argue if Mr. Hernandez's property isn't adjacent, then tract B2 is not adjacent. And I'll tell you why. Because the easement, when you look at this, the road leading up to it stops at the property line. It's a newly created cul-de-sac. And so if that's true, then B2 isn't adjacent to the original easement agreement. Okay, because you have to remember the easement that's shown on this plat, this 2025 plat, is showing the cul-de-sac being created, but the cul-de-sac is created on a different piece of property. And when you look at tract B2, if you look at that little, I don't know, backwards L or chair shape there, without the cul-de-sac, there is no way that you can get from the easement that's on tract A1 or A2, you can't get to B2 because B2 doesn't really abut that property. You see what I mean? So either they both abut or they neither one of them abuts.
When was the cul-de-sac put in before the letter was sent out, or was it put in afterwards?
Chairman, Commissioners, this plat was completed and in effect before any of the requests for an address or a road creation. Cul-de-sac was in place before we sent out any letters, yes, sir.
And well, I'm drawing a distinction, and what I'm saying is, if tract B2, if it's adjacent, it's only because of the cul-de-sac. It's not adjacent because of the primary road going through A1 and A2. And if you say that if you're defining the road on A1 and A2, right? In other words, that's the burden piece of property. Clearly, Mr. Hernandez is adjacent to it based on your, I'm just saying it's adjacent based on the definition. It touches it in that corner. And that's what my contention is, that's what it says. But the bigger point is the name, it's similar sounding to another road that already exists. And you can't find it when you type it in with that spelling.
Thank you. Mr. Nance, I believe you had.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Commissioners, anything else? Mr. Baca, anything else?
Chairman, Commissioners, nothing else to add. I think we do have the Wolves here as well, if you wanted to hear from them.
And Mr. Chairman, I would ask that before you do that, the Wolves be allowed to ask questions of the appellant.
Yes.
If they have questions before they
Where are the
proceed.
Okay. Yeah, and you were sworn in. If you have any questions at this point, you can please come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Casey Wolf. Our current address is 21 Anaya Road, Belen, New Mexico, 87002. But on the record, I just wanted to state that we are currently building our house on 6 Wolf Farm Lane, and it is almost in the final stages. We are about a month and a half out from moving in. I do have I don't really have questions, but I do just have some statements. They're just going to.
Mr. Chairman, if there, just want to make sure there's no questions first before we move on so that it's their turn.
Okay. Any questions?
I do have one question. My question is, you guys are saying that Mr. Hernandez is at the adjacent property. Is Mr. Hernandez ever going to use that road to access his property? Will he ever have a reason to go through that road to access his property?
If I may approach. So to answer the question, based on the definition contained in the ordinance itself, it says, let me find the definition. This includes, and I'm not reading the whole thing, but I'm reading the sentence that So the second sentence on page 1.1-3 says, this includes owners of corner properties, even if that property is accessed from the road intersecting that subject road. So the ordinance has already made the determination, I may have the right to vote, but I don't have to access the property off the new road, access my property off the new road. I just have to touch and concern that road. So that would be our position. And so, no, I don't think he's going to access it. I'm just saying the ordinance in our interpretation of it allows him to have a vote.
Any other questions, Mr. and Mrs.
Sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't know, Mr. BOCC, do we have the Cedillos? Or anybody else that's any other property owners or Mr. Gugino representing that?
I believe the Lovatos and the Cedillos are both here. Is that correct?
Have they delegated their authority to Mr. Gugino though?
I would ask them if they had anything to add, but as far as I know, that Mr. Gugino was their representative this evening.
Okay, I don't know, did the four of you stand up to be sworn in?
No, we did not.
Okay. If you have anything to say, I'm going to ask before you come to the podium that you stand to be sworn in. If you don't want to speak, that's fine too. You guys can sit down. Okay. If you'll just, you guys can sit down. Thank you. If you'll just state your name, whoever's going to speak first, name and address for the record.
Leo Lovato, 409 Road.
Okay.
Elizabeth Lovato, 409 Road, Belen, New Mexico, 87002.
Nat Cedillo, 19 Anaya Road, Belen, New Mexico.
Okay, thank you.
I guess the only other thing that I may add to what Mr. Gugino had said is we were eventually notified about the naming of the road, but we weren't notified. The reason we found out about the naming of the road was because the Wolves told us about it. We never got an official notice. We actually had to reach out to the county to ask why the road was named without our consent, especially because Leo and I are actually the property owners that the easement runs through. We're the ones who pay the property tax on that. So we just thought that we should have been notified, and we never were. So that's just something that I would like to add.
Thank you. You think?
No, actually it just slipped my mind. And if it goes in any direction, we would prefer just a neutral name, and it wouldn't be related to any other family member or anything like that. That's what we're wanting the name to be changed to, anything neutral.
Yeah, we're proposing a neutral name. We submitted our requests when we were eventually notified. We just want a name that doesn't pertain to any family members, not us, not them, just a neutral name.
Ms. Cedillo, if you'll just get up to the microphone just so we can.
I just thought that we should have all been notified and we could have all picked a neutral name also.
Thank you. Hang on one second. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So are you guys saying that you didn't receive a letter for the vote prior to the naming?
So we received a letter in November, I believe. I can't remember the exact date. I mean, you guys probably have it all on record, but we would have never received a letter and we wouldn't have been here today had the Wolves not informed us that they got the address and that they it was assigned Wolf Farm Lane. So what we're saying is we were eventually notified, but the reason we were notified is because we had to reach out to the county to ask why the road was named. We thought since we were property owners and, we accessed the easement as well as the other property owners, that we should have all been involved in the process from the beginning.
Well, I guess my question is, did you guys vote yes or no?
We voted no.
Chairman, Commissioners,
Yes, eventually.
Well, so the reason we were, sorry to cut you off, the reason we're notified because we went into Mr. Baca and sat down and we filled out the rename of the road. Then a letter got sent out. But by that time, the road was already named Wolf Farm Lane. So the reason the letter got sent out, because we came in and sat down with Mr. Baca and filled it out. And then the letter got sent out to re-vote for a neutral name. And then it was a 50-50, and Mr. Baca went with the Wolf Farm Lane.
Okay, I apologize. I'd run out of battery on the mic, so it wasn't recording. Okay, and when you were notified, were you notified via certified mail?
No,
You didn't receive a certified letter?
we received a letter, but it wasn't certified.
It wasn't certified. Ms. Cedillo?
No, we never.
Thank you. Any other questions, any statements you wish to make?
No.
Okay, thank you. We have the Wolves back there. Do you have any questions or comments at this time? Please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Again, like we stated before, my name is Casey Wolf. This is my husband, Patrick Wolf. Along the lines of the Cedillos and the Lobato stating that they never got notice, I just would like to point out the Cedillos have owned the property since 2021. So, and the Lobatos have owned the property since 2025, earlier last year. So in our minds, if they wanted to name the road, they had ample amount of time to establish a name if they wanted to. And we went through the legal process through the county to get the address because nobody else had. And we were starting our home project and we needed an address to start our house. And we would like to also point out that, again, we are in the final stages of our house, which means that all of our permits through the county and through the state, even our loan through our bank, have that 6 Wolf Farm Lane address. And so if this address were to change, it would halt production of our house and slow it down, which would be detrimental to us since we're in the final stages. I would also just like to point out that, again, they're claiming that Wolf Road and Wolf Farm Lane sound similar. When you have Marquez Lane and Marquez Road, which are right next to each other, exactly right next to each other, and one's Marquez Lane and one's Marquez Road. Patrick? Anything else?
Well, he brought up the key point of Marquez Lane, Marquez Road.
If you speak up a little bit so they could record you both. Thank you.
You did bring up the point of Marquez Lane, Marquez Road. We did follow the steps that we were given by the county to name this road, or not to name this, name this road and to get an address to build our home. That's all I got.
There is one more point. I would just like to point out again that both Patrick and I, since we own tracks B1 and B2, we do hold the majority of the land for that road, and we are completely landlocked. So that easement has been established from very, very long time ago, and it's been with the county. We have no other options to get to our house. That's the only legal option we have to get to our house. And we went through all the steps. We didn't skip anything. And we don't believe that the county skipped any steps as well. We really felt like Ryan and everybody else at planning and zoning department really did their job to finish this address name.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Wait, just make sure Mr. Gugino doesn't have questions for them.
Yes. Please come to the microphone if you don't mind.
I just had a couple of questions and stuff for the Wolves.
Yes, sir.
So when did you start building your house?
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. And I'm short, so. We officially started building our house. We signed on our loan back in September. So middle of September is when it started taking off.
And the road wasn't approved by the county until November, is that correct?
No, sir, it was actually approved. We got the approval letter on August 7th.
On August what?
7th. We got the letter on August 7th, the first letter from the county that they sent us.
So you got the letter on August 7th, and do you have any reason to dispute what my client said, that they didn't get a letter from the county until November?
Yes, like I said, Mr. Baca stated that since we held the majority of the land, even if the Cedillos and Lovatos objected, since we hold the majority of the land, we would get essentially the end vote.
And so when did it officially be, so you're saying it officially became Wolf Road in August, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to start our home project.
And you said, do you know why the Cedillos or the Lovatos wouldn't have named the road before you moved in?
No, I can't speak for them on that.
Do you know if the ordinance provides that unless there's a house on the property, you can't name, unless there's a house address to that easement, you can't name it?
But there was a proposed, we were already signed with contractors to start our house. So therefore Ryan Baca and everybody else said that it was okay since we had the intent of building and we were already starting our permits. So,
That's it.
thank you again.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see, we also have Lovatos and Cedillos. Is there anything else that you have questions of the applicant or their attorney that you need clarification on? Okay. Mr. Gugino, anything else from you? Is there anything else that you wish? Okay, Wolves, you've done all the questions and statements you wish to make? Very good. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing on this particular item, and we will be making a decision shortly in executive session. We will report out, okay? So you guys, if you want to, you can wait for our decision, or we have Ryan notify you of the decision tomorrow, if that's what you choose, but it's totally up to you. You're more than welcome to stay. Okay, so at this time, our agenda calls for an executive session. Mr. Nance, would you please announce that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to section 10-15-1 H3, the following matters will be discussed in closed session under administrative adjudicatory proceedings, zone change 2591 and appeal 25108.
Need a motion to go into executive session for the stated reasons, please.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Richardson. Any discussion on the motion of the second? You know, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote? Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yeah.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. We will return out shortly.
Mr. Chairman, we're ready to commence when you are. The manager is going and printing this resolution for us.
Okay, I need a motion to reconvene in regular session, please.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Sparkman. Any discussion on the motion of the second? You know, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Nance, would you summarize the items discussed in closed session for us, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. The items discussed in executive session were limited to those in the motion for closure. Specifically, those items were zone change 2025-91 and appeal 25108. No final action was taken.
Motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Sparkman. Any discussion on the motion of the second? You know, Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Continue with our action items. Item 19, approval of zone change 2025-091. Mr. Baca?
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Before you this evening is the request for the approval of zone change number 2025-091, as heard earlier during public hearing, and I do stand for any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Baca? There be none. This is Commissioner Richardson's district. Do you have a recommendation, Commissioner?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to approve the zone change.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson, second by Commissioner Barry. Any discussion on the motion or the second? Be none. Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Barry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, it is approved. Item 20, approval of appeal number 2025-108. Mr. Baca?
Chairman, Commissioners, before you this evening is a request for the approval of appeal number 2025-108, as heard earlier during public hearing, and I do stand for any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Baca? Be none. Commissioner Bazell, this is your district. Do you have a recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I don't have a problem with the naming of the road, but I do have a problem with the way it was done. So I'd like to make a motion to remand this matter to the rural addresser to repeat the road naming process and to provide written notice to the adjacent landowners and required by the ordinance, including the corner property owner, by certified mail.
Yes, sir.
Okay, have a recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bazell, second by Commissioner Richardson. Any discussion on the motion of the second? Be none. Commissioner Richardson, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Bazell, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Barry, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Sparkman, your vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a good night.
Okay, couple upcoming meetings to announce. March 4th, 2026, business meeting, 5 o'clock here in the chambers, also via Facebook Live. March 18th, 2026, public hearing business meeting at 5 o'clock here in the chambers and also via Facebook Live. Are there any closing comments from fellow commissioners? Be none, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Oh, we got something to sign, I'm sorry.